How are we doing, guys? It is Wednesday. It is halfway through the week. We're back to work, so that matters. Man, when I was on vacation, it didn't matter what day it was. Wednesday was Saturday. Tuesday was Saturday. Monday, it was Saturday. It was so good. But now we're back to work. We're back to work. And Wednesdays are now halfway through the week. Somebody said, did you know Friday is a holiday? I said, I know. Every Friday is a holiday. It is the day before I get to have 2 days off. But we're on the way to July 4th. We're going to hope that the people in my area do not burn down the city with fireworks. Because shit is dry and shit is hot. And something tells me Trump 4th of July is going to involve lots of fires. a lot of blown up hands, a lot of fires. This is the most concerning 4th of July I think I've ever had in this area. I also as I got home there was two sheriffs parked across the street from my house, and I thought, yep, they know I shared that JD Vance meme. This is it. It's over. Like, this is it. It's over, guys. It's over. They know that I shared the JD Vance meme. This is it. This is how it ends. This is how it ends. Oh, man. Well, anyways, I'm here. I will be on tomorrow as well. For those of you guys that do remember the schedule, I will be on tomorrow on this space. We're going to be doing the 2-hour show at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. So join me over on this space tomorrow. And, you can always go over there and check it out right now, as they're also on right now. So fun times over there. So we're going to do some shows. We're going to do today, we're going to do tomorrow, and then we'll be back Saturday. And we might have to change the schedule a little bit because it's a little bit too close together. I like having like a day between. But for now, it's still going to stay the same. Wednesdays and Saturdays for now. Angry Ginger Live Clip channel is actually doing pretty good right now. So we're up to almost 500 subscribers over there. This space, we just had 1,000 subscribers in the first, 3 weeks or something like that over there on this space. So that's pretty dope. Shout out to this space and the 1,000 subscriber mark that they hit. Yeah, I want to say it's about 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So shout out to all the people that have been putting in the hard work over there. Last I checked, I think it was Dieter McBusiness was on the stream. So if you guys are interested, go over there, check it out, and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's continue to make them grow, and hopefully they'll keep my Angry Ginger Army around for long enough for us to be seen and a part of the movement. They put me on late at night. That's probably the smartest thing they ever did. That subscriber count probably wouldn't have went up that fast. So anyways, yeah, what's going on today? Diddy got found not guilty of racketeering. This is Trump's America. It is such a strange time to be alive. I just heard that Diddy is probably only going to get time served. They said maximum sentence for what he did, what he's found guilty of. He's found guilty, I believe, of 2 charges of prostitution. And they said he's probably going to just get time served. It's a strange world where crime is not crime anymore. And, when I was a kid, crime was crime. And that was an issue. And now I'm an adult, a law-abiding adult. Except for that time I shared that JD Vance meme, okay? I'm a law-abiding adult, and now, all of a sudden, it's okay to just do crime. It's okay. So, anyways, that happened. Diddy found not guilty of racketeering, found guilty of 2 charges of prostitution, and probably going to get time served. So, that's great. That's great. Let's see, what else is going on? We've got the House right now talking about trying to pass the big ugly ass bill that's going to transfer a bunch of wealth from the lower class, the middle class, to the wealthy again. So that's par for the course. That's just normal stuff. We've got we've got Trump and Elon getting divorced for a second time. They just got back together, getting divorced for a second time. Potentially Elon getting deported. I mean, there is a silver lining to some of this stuff for sure, but it's not great out there right now. So yeah. That's where we're doing. That's what we're at. Let's take a look at the videos. Or actually, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. I forgot to say hi. I'm sorry. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Woke Mike, you got number 1 and number 2. Woke Mike, number 1 and number 2. That is that's an accomplishment right there, Woke Mike. Good job, Woke. Good job. Golf, is it over or are we done? I'm not sure if you're asking about the stream or America. As far as the stream goes, we're starting. As far as America goes, this might be it. VD, what's up, VD? Just starting. Good job. TOG, what's up, TOG? Tammy, what's happening, Tammy? How's it going? Oz, what's happening, Oz? What's up, guys? Cajun. Hi, Cajun. Football season's almost here, Cajun. It's the only thing that's keeping me up right now. It's keeping me going right now. Jay, what's happening, Jay? Nightbot in the house doing his job. Good job. Nathan, what's going on? All right. Wednesday shows have been kind of slow shows anyway, so we might move the day. Saturday shows are pretty hot. Pretty hot. Maybe we'll move to, like, weekend shows. I don't know. Maybe Friday, Saturday? I don't know. What's a good day other than Wednesday? Wednesday's fine, but I feel like there's a lot going on. I also kind of want to have a day where I'm streaming that this space isn't streaming. Maybe Monday, Saturday? I don't know. We're going to figure that out. But I kind of want to be on a day that this space isn't streaming, so that way there's not a potential of me taking views from them. So, yeah. So, anyways, we are going to do some videos. Let's check out what we're going to talk about, and let's have a good show. Let's have some fun, guys. Down to the bottom we go. All right, so we have Bernie Sanders talking about the big piece of shit, dog shit, trash ass, garbage bill. Bernie Sanders. I'm not subscribed on Bernie on this account. That's weird. I think YouTube took me off. And then we have a little bit of an explanation from the More Perfect Union about how it will transfer trillions from workers to Wall Street. So I like More Perfect Union. I like the way they do their videos. So we'll watch that for some educational reasons. We got the jobs report, guys. This is that's what's going on right now. This is one of those things that's really strange about this economy. Is we just lost jobs for the first time since, I want to say, March 2023. I could be wrong about that. It might have been September 2023. But first time we've actually lost jobs. We were predicted to have 100K jobs added this month, and the private sector actually lost 33,000 jobs. There are so many indicators that this economy has not righted itself and it is steadily moving worse and worse towards the chance of recession. What do they say? The first time, or the worst start for the dollar since 73. So over 50 years, the worst first 6 months of a year for the dollar. Not to mention, they continue to reassess the jobs from April, and they keep dropping those numbers down, so those numbers continue to get worse. GDP continues to get, the numbers continue to get worse as they keep looking back on information that's coming in on the first quarter. Like, there's so much right now that's just pointing towards the economy getting worse, not getting better. Obviously, the trade deficit that Trump and these guys have harped on forever, even though it's like a dumbass thing to talk about. The trade deficit is not as easy as saying we have a deficit with Vietnam, we have to make it right, blah, 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 all this bullshit. But the trade deficit actually doubled since Trump started doing all this Liberation Day bullshit, because companies front-loaded imports and then refused exports from America. So the trade deficit has actually doubled since then. So even if you want to take the dumb bullshit excuse that they have for why they're doing these things, they've actually failed at that as well. So there's a lot of failure going on in this administration, and it's really hard to stay optimistic about where potentially the economy is going over the next 6 months and the future of the economy after that, because everything we've said so far about this just being a wealth transfer seems to be true. And you even look at I saw this economist that came out and said, like, well, maybe I was wrong about this. So I was reading that article, and the article pretty much is saying, yeah, this guy thinks he's wrong about this, but there's no actual benefit for the middle class, right? There's no benefit for the middle class. When he says that he's wrong about it, what he means is that corporations aren't going to bleed and go out of business, that they're going to be okay. But there's no real indicator that anything that has happened so far in this administration is going to do anything but take benefits away from people, lose really good jobs. The electricians union just came out, said over 800,000 jobs are going to be lost because of the big, beautiful bill. It's insane. Even for the first time in a long time, I'm agreeing with Elon Musk when he says that many of the jobs in the green sectors that are really good paying jobs are going to be lost because of this shit. Like, it's really hard to stay optimistic about anything to do with this economy right now because of this bill. And it's really fucking strange to watch people just continually push to have it, put forth and put into effect, as though like we're not going to notice that shit's getting worse. It's fucking la la land. It's weird. And I hope that, hopefully there's going to be people in the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, that recognize that shit's getting worse for them. But we'll see if that even happens either. These people, they're not the sharpest tool in the shed. So anyways, this is about the jobs report, I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, it says shock job numbers. So it's about the jobs report. We got Kyle Kalinske looking like he's trying to blend in with his background. I'm not sure if I really like that shirt or if I'm like, nah, can't do it. Somebody, an artist that works at the business I work for the other day, was saying you can't combine baby blue and pink because it makes everybody think of babies. And now I'm thinking of, Chibi Kyle Kalinske. If we get to it, this is another more perfect union video about the tech giant's radical plan to control America. And as you guys know, this is a drum I've been beating. It's not a very popular drum. I don't think many people want to touch this subject because they think that, they're going to be called a conspiracy theorist. But this is the drum I've been beating, that the real plan for all of this is just to get more and more control put in the hands of tech oligarchs and less control being put in the hands of the people. And we're going to find ourselves being further and further driven into this place where you have no choice but to work until you die, so that way these people continue to have the playground that they want to have. And on that same subject, we have a video from CNN, of course, being the fucking dog shit media that they are, talking to Zoran Mamdani about his potential of being a democratic socialist. And what does that even mean? What does it mean? Free bus rides. What does that mean? Because I think that if people don't start getting behind candidates like Mamdani and start kind of pushing for social reform and social safety nets, you see these rollouts of these robo-taxis, and Waymo obviously has been doing their thing for a while. And like, I don't think anybody even gives two shits that like taxi drivers aren't going to have jobs soon. And we haven't even started to discuss what we're supposed to do to make sure that these people do not, become destitute because of this. In fact, we're ripping away social safety nets that would stop them from, going into poverty. So I think it's really important right now to be talking about people like Zoran Mamdani, as he's the only one that really seems to be pushing that rhetoric, him and Bernie, AOC, Jasmine Crockett. So, I want to feature those guys as much as possible. And of course, we have the IHIP ladies talking about Elon Musk and Donald Trump getting divorced again. So that's where we're at. It's Kyle's gender reveal shirt. Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you. Let's say hi to the other people. Let's see who else is here today. Let's see who's popped up in the chat since I started rambling and ranting. Let's see who else is in here. Bucket, what's up, Bucket? I always start kind of when I get home. Like, you know, it's all dependent on, like, what time I get home. Dan, what's happening? Kelly, what's happening? What's going on, guys? I like the idea that it's been going around. You get what you voted for, present a red card, and you get 0 aid, present a blue card, and you get all the stuff progressives fight for. I like that too, Bucket. That's actually a good call. I like that as well. I'm with that. I'm enjoying how much Texas farmers who voted for Trump are crying about losing their workers. It's fucking mind-blowing. I don't understand. What's happening, Swift? I don't get it. I talk a lot of shit. I make a lot of jokes. I call people names. I insult people. But most of the time, when I'm doing that, I'm being, a little bit hyperbolic. But I'm also, kind of actually not. I wouldn't say I'm being hyperbolic. I'd say I'm kind of, I'm painting with a very wide brush, right? Like, I still think there's still part of me that's like, there's no fucking way that these idiots don't know that this was going to happen. It's still, like, it's mind-boggling for me still to sit here and watch these farmers that are like, yeah, he took away the grants that I had, the loans that I had to run my small farm. Like, yeah, you fucking morons. He literally talked about it. Donald Trump is a person who says big farms do it better. Small farms do not do things efficiently. Small farms, lose money. Big farms are the way to go. Corporate farms are the way to go. And these small farmers, like, are legit disappointed that Donald Trump is doing this to them. When we said you're going to recognize that you made a mistake voting for Donald Trump, when he pulls all your immigrant workers, most of these people weren't even saying that they didn't think he was going to do it. They just didn't think they were going to be impacted by it, right? Like, it's fucking mind-boggling. And I think it just goes to show, like, how entitled we are in America, right? A lot of us, even if we don't realize it, live in a relative ivory tower, compared to the rest of the globe. Even, the small farmers don't recognize that they've gone so long without being touched by one of these, really extreme policies. They've just been, talking about them and how bad the left would be if, socialism came through and all these bad things that possibly could happen if the left got in control. And this Mamdani guy is going to cause 9/11 part due and all this shit. And I think that they never thought that they would be the one that got touched by this. Because it can't... You can't tell me that these people didn't think he was going to do these things. Because I don't even think most of them... There's a couple that would definitely say, he's not going to do that, bro. He's not going to do that, bro. Those people are morons. Most of these people, I want to believe, did think that he was going to do these things. But I also think that they thought they weren't going to be touched by it. You notice that none of these dipshits are even talking about the $5,000 checks anymore? Like, they don't... Like, they are aggressively gullible. Even when they're being taken advantage of, they do the mental gymnastics necessary to make sure that the person that's taking advantage of them receives no blame for their actions. That's fucking insane. Especially for a group of people that are constantly playing the victim. These are people who are professional victims. Everything is somebody else's fault. Nothing is my fault. And when they're victimized by the person that they voted for, they will do the mental gymnastics necessary to make sure that the person that they voted for isn't the person who gets blamed. There's that lady, right? That the Republican lady that had the ectopic pregnancy. I hope I said that right. It's ectopic, right? And she tried to, go in and get her business handled and wanted obviously life-saving healthcare, and then was surprised that they would not give it to her. Like, this is what not only is this what you voted for, but this is the job that you're doing to make sure that other women can't have this healthcare. And then she did the mental gymnastics to blame the left for her not receiving that healthcare. Like, I can't decide whether these people are genuinely fucking stupid, or if they're just so aggressively gullible that they want somebody to take responsibility and accountability for all the bad shit that they want to do to other people, and they never think it's going to ever happen to them. It's probably both. Is that her name? Kat Kenmack? First of all, stupid name. Your name sucks. Second, what the fuck, man? Like I said before, a lot of the shit that happens, if you have a person that goes like, oh, okay, I see, I fucked up, I can live with that. I can be like, all right, at least you know that what you did was dumb. I think the thing that drives me the most nuts about today's society is how stupid people do stupid things and then just find some way to make an excuse or blame somebody else for the things that they did. That's the shit that drives me the most fucking nuts. We rent's so high and groceries so high and gas is so high. Okay, well, the dude that said he was gonna fix all those things, he didn't fix any of those things. Yeah, cause the libs, bro. Cause the transgenders, bro. Like, what do you mean? Trump, it ain't his fault. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy. What's happening, Marcia? What's going on, Ross? You just looked her up. Good job. Randy, what's happening? I just, I can deal with shit being fucked up. I can deal with people being wrong. I can deal with people disagreeing with me. I can deal with me being wrong. I can deal with me fucking shit up. But what I can't deal with is just how many of these people are so adverse. They're like allergic to reality, allergic to accountability and responsibility. It's fucking wild. She's huge. Man. What did Bucket say? Bucket, what did you say? Trump said immigrants are stealing the black jobs. Those farmers thought black people would be working on their farm. That is probably, holy shit.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him.
Wow. You are probably not wrong, Bucket. You are not wrong, Bucket. That is such a fucking crazy statement. But it's probably true. They're probably like, well, the black folk are probably going to have to work the job. So, he is taking us back to when America was great. You know what I'm saying, brother?
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
You are probably not wrong. You know what's crazy about that statement? Is that I would feel weird, even fucking putting that forth as a statement. No offense, Bucket. You have more courage than me, and you're also much more intelligent. I would feel weird even saying that, right? But when it gets said, I'm like, there's some evidence that is true. These people were probably back fucking stage, looking at each other going, what are we going to do when all the undocumented get taken away, brother? And it's like, oh, don't worry. Where do you think the black folk are going to go? Okay? All right? What jobs are they going to get? They probably fucking thought that was going to happen. They probably thought, like, well, we're not going to have to work the fields. We're still white. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trump wouldn't do that to us, brother. Jesus fucking Christ. When you got a oh yeah, sorry, here you go. No, I told you I said I'd take away your responsibilities. With responsibilities, great responsibility comes great power. Okay. Remove as standard moderator. There you go. Now you don't have to worry about having to, don't worry. There you go. She called the Satan from the hospital? No shit. What's happening, Dr. Don? What's happening? Yeah, Mr. Wendell ain't picking your fucking veggies, dude. All right? Fuck off with that. Why do you think Trump into the DEI stuff? That's fucking, you're spot on. What up, DJ Hertz? I don't know, man. It's mind-boggling. I can't, my wife has helped me just become a better person in general, right? And I admit, for a large portion of my life, I treated most people like they were an idiot before I ever even heard a word come out of their mouth. I almost always just had this opinion of people that it didn't matter. This wasn't anything to do with politics. It was just humanity. I was like, this person is probably going to say the dumbest shit I have ever heard before in my life. This person, I'm never going to be able to trust them to do something because they're probably a fucking moron. And my wife, the beautiful, wonderful, empathetic human being that she is, was like, you got to stop acting like every single person is going to be a failure, that they're going to do something stupid. You have to have more faith in people. You have to give them a chance. And, over the years of being with my wife, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of being an asshole. I am. Sometimes, there are good people that deserve my grace. That, and I'm fallible as well. I do dumb shit as well. I say stupid shit as well. I need to start treating people like, hey, not all of y'all are idiots. Fucking here you go. Prove that you're not first before I call you an idiot. And then Trump he fucked up years worth of wife therapy. Trump just went and fucked up an entire multi-year project. My wife had worked so hard on that. And now I am right back to, this person's probably a fucking moron. He fucked it all up. Have you guys seen, anyway, change your earpieces because this one keeps falling out. Have you guys seen that there's what was it? There's an environmental program where they were trying to repopulate, I think it's salmon, right? Trying to bring back the salmon population. And he just either he did or some of his actions or Doge's actions have led to that project being defunded. This isn't a project that was started 2 years ago or 4 years ago or 10 years ago. This is a project that has been going on for fucking decades. Decades of work, decades of money being spent. And it was coming to fruition. It was showing success. It was giving success, guys. And now it can't move forward and it's probably going to fail. This man does not just fuck shit up. He fucks shit up in epic ways. He took years of work that my wife had put into me as a human being to make me a better person. And without either knowing me or knowing my wife, he completely fucked all that up. Burn it straight to the ground. There is an entire population of fish out there that was like, you know what? Things are getting better, actually. We are making the ocean great again. Moga. Wait, that's Matoga. Matoga! That's like what you say if you're a frat boy and you walk in and somebody else is wearing your toga. Matoga! Sorry. And now they're like, yo, what happened? Why is everything declining like this is the United States of America? Why is my ocean looking like fucking Texas now? What is going on, guys? Oh, Trump's the president, so it's even fucking up the ocean? Oh, sweet. I was planning on having kids. Now I'm not gonna. I don't think I'll swim upstream this year. Like the fucking salmon are having conversations. They're looking at each other and like, I don't know, Bob. Economy's not looking great. You know, I heard they defunded a bunch of fucking projects. I was gonna have kids, but I really don't think that I should bring salmon into this world. You know, it's just not looking great. Fucking temperature of the ocean's getting hotter. There's no fucking jobs anymore. We went from hope to dope. Dr. Don, I'm happy to have you here. What's happening, 5 Alarm? What's going on? He doesn't just fuck shit up like a normal person, right? Donald Trump fucks up shit that, like, he wasn't even in contact with. Like, and you can, like, a lot of people you would be like, yeah, well, man, let's give dude a chance. Let's see if this is even connected to anything that he has done. There is, like, full-on fucking mountains of evidence as to the connections of Donald Trump just looking at a piece of paper and being like, that says equity on it. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I love Tesla.
Like, this man fucks shit up like no one has ever fucked shit up before. I dare you to find another historical figure. And I am a fan of historical figures, people that have fucked some shit up. All right? People that have built great fucking nations and then just watched it all burn to the ground because they made some bad decisions. Like, at least they had built the fucking nation up before they burned it to the ground. Show me one other historical figure. You guys are smart. You guys probably know a couple people that has fucked up shit as much as Donald Trump has. Like, I'm not even mad. It's fucking impressive, okay?
Obama.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't even think Hitler fucked shit up this bad. That's a wild statement. That one's getting clipped. All right, let's stop me from just sitting up here and fucking ranting the whole day.
I love the poorly educated.
Let's stop me from just sitting here and ranting the whole day. Let's go ahead and let's watch some videos. Let me rant about that. Niedermeyer? That's a good name. Is that the guy who created, is that Oscar Mayer Wieners? Is that who Niedermeyer is? I'm gonna need some background knowledge. The diddler did not get convicted, 5 Alarm. Well, he did get convicted, but in Trump's America, getting convicted means that you get, you know, fucking 18 months, and dude's already been in there 18 months, so he's getting out, like, probably tomorrow. I saw a meme that said, Diddy's going to celebrate release from prison with freak off. Baby oil sales going up, guys. Baby oil sales going up. This is not financial advice, but if you have the chance to buy stocks in baby oil, probably now's the time. The amount of baby oil that's about to be purchased in the next couple months is going to be through the fucking roof. I just want you guys to know that. Also, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your brothers, okay? Hide your dad. Hide your dad, okay? Because Diddy gonna be free in them streets, and no one is gonna be safe. You guys think that Donald Trump went on a revenge fest? Can you imagine the amount of beeholes that are about to get violated sans baby oil? Okay? This shit's over. It's not going to be safe in them streets. You got Diddy running around. You got Trump running around. You got Matt Gaetz running around. It is not safe in them streets for people's beeholes. That is a public service announcement. It's not financial advice, but it is a public service announcement. Okay?
Yeah, you effing with some wet-ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass P-word. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass P-word.
You know who's safe? You know who's safe? Ben Shapiro's wife. She's safe. There is not a penis she needs to worry about at this point, okay? She is safe. She don't have to worry. Unless she finds a bottle of fucking, like, bottle of baby oil in the house. If you find a bottle of baby oil in your house, it is time to exit that premises. Maybe that's why the sheriff was outside my house. Maybe they're looking for Diddy. Maybe they're like, just in case he ends up at the Angry Ginger's house, we're going to be waiting. Okay. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop now. All right. Let's see. What are we going to watch? We're going to talk about the fucking big, ugly, garbage ass dumpster fire of a bill first. So let's get Bernie Sanders up on the screen. Let's hear what Bernie has to say about this bill, and then we're going to watch the More Perfect Union video after this to kind of get an idea of exactly how we're going to get, graped by the billionaires.
Thanks very much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Let me be very clear.
Thank you, Bernie.
Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill, now on the floor of the Senate, is one of the most...
The air quotes is my favorite. Good job, Bernie. Bernie is good at the low-key burns. Good job, Bernie.
...dangerous pieces of legislation ever brought forth in the modern history.
Wait, Ben Shapiro is definitely asexual? Does that mean that he produces, is like, through photosynthesis? I'm a trailer park angry ginger. I need more explanation.
...history of our country. It is a gift to the billionaire class while causing massive pain for working families.
Yep.
Actually, I'm wrong. I shouldn't use the word gift because the billionaires paid for it.
I don't know if that was the right time for air quotes, but that's a good call on Bernie Sanders right there. That's the, most insane thing about this is that for as much shit as the left takes for also taking money from billionaires, as much shit as the left takes for also having big pharma in their pocket, for also having, gun rights advocacy groups like the NRA and stuff like that giving them money, right? For as much as that, you actually have to give the left some credit that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris turned out to be so obstinate when it came to allowing tech billionaires to take control of this country. They stonewalled these people so fucking hard that they decided that they would stuff money into Donald Trump's pockets. That's actually, I have to give the left some credit here, and I think you guys should too, because regardless of how much money that they have taken from ultra wealthy donors leading up to this point, it turns out that there was a place where they're like, nah, we ain't going that fucking far. Donald Trump, he doesn't have that. Donald Trump's like, I'll wear the suit. I don't care. Just put the money in the pocket.
This bill is an absolute reflection of a corrupt campaign finance system. The billionaires invest hundreds of millions of dollars in candidates and in elections. And in this bill, this piece of legislation, their investment is paying off.
And you know what I like about the Mamdani thing so far? Is that didn't Cuomo outspend him by 100x what he spent? And that goes to show, especially right now, right? If there's ever a time where the middle class, working people, blue-collar people, lower middle-class people, impoverished people can actually see what is going on in this society and who is running for their government and who best represents their interests. It is right now, with the age of information, with the age of the internet, right? There was an excuse for blue-collar people, for impoverished people, that for a long time, when these big donors were stuffing people's pockets with money and paying for media time, that you wouldn't know who your candidates were and who represents your values. But right now, with the internet, with all this alternative media, with all these people who are willing to pretty much have almost anybody come on their show that is a political candidate, right now is the time for people to really get behind people that are going to at least say that they're going to do the things that are in their interest, right? And then we can weed the fucking people out that don't do what they say they're going to do, right? Because we can hold them to more accountability than ever before, because there's so much information because of alternative media that you can see when people don't do what they follow through with, right? Like if Mamdani gets into office as the mayor of New York and he doesn't follow through with any of the things, and he starts taking money from ultra wealthy donors, and he does another 9/11, brother. Okay, if he does all of those things, we're going to know about it, because there's going to be so much coverage of it that we'll know. So right now could possibly be the best time. Like, we might be in the sweet spot, because pretty soon with AI, we're going to be outside of that sweet spot, because then you're not going to know what the fuck you're supposed to believe anymore, right? But right now might be the best time for blue-collar people, for impoverished people, for middle class, for upper middle class people to finally find candidates that represent their values and vote for them. Because of the fact that these people, you don't have to watch ABC, you don't have to watch CBS, you don't have to watch CNN or Fox News to see the candidates anymore. You will see people talking about them on streams. You will see people talking about them in podcasts. This could actually be the best time for that.
So, what are they getting? Well, the top 1% is receiving $975 billion in tax breaks.
There was a Florida election last year. A Dem won, only spending like $1 million, and a Republican opponent spent like $50 million and lost in Florida. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I think that this, this is it's no coincidence that Zoran won during this time. Like, if you take us back, let's say 10 years. How long? Yeah, I'd say 10 years. 10 years is a good amount of time, right? If you take us back to the last Trump presidency and you put Zoran in there against Cuomo with the same background. Cuomo did the dumb shit he did. Zoran is who he is. Everything's the same, but it's 10 years ago. The alt media is not as strong as it is now. Cuomo wins because of name recognition. I mean, there's a reason that we use that phrase, name recognition, right? People still, to this day, will be like, we can't put forth that candidate. They don't have name recognition. Mamdani didn't have name recognition. A lot of these people that are winning in these races across the country, no one knows who the fuck they were. And I mean, to be honest, Obama did win without name recognition, his first presidency. So there's something to be said, maybe going back and looking at that time as well. But he also had a lot of people get behind him once he started picking up steam, right? So, and you're not going to see that with Zoran, right? Like, you already see the pushback from the wealthy class against Zoran. Because Obama, for as much as I like Obama, he was a corporate interest president. And, the corporate interest knew, these tech oligarchs knew that he would do things for them. And I think that legit is why Obama in interviews does say he does regret some of the things that he did during his presidency. But if you go back 10 years from today to then, I don't think Zoran wins. Even with the same political climate, even with all the same past, all those things, I think he loses because of name recognition.
Further, and this is really
What's happening,
quite
LB?
unbelievable, the wealthiest 0.2% receive a $211 billion
LB.
estate tax break. $211 billion for the top 0.2%. In that provision, 99.8% of Americans get zero.
That's fucking insane. And the lowest, okay, so this bill is a prime example of how regressive tax systems work. The lowest, I think it's lowest 20% of the country is actually going to lose $5,000 to $7,000. Was it $500 to $700? $500 to $700, right? Per year. It's fucking insane to think that you're going to improve this country by increasing poverty. That doesn't make any fucking sense at all. I was just watching Steven Pinker has a new book out called Rationality. And the whole idea of most of Steven Pinker's books is that the better off impoverished people are in society, the more opportunities they have, the more social safety nets exist, the better off economies are, the better off society is. This bill is the literal fucking opposite of everything that dude talks about in his books.
Further, large corporations in this bill get a $918 billion tax break.
That's fucking insane.
That is what the 1% and the wealthy campaign contributors get. So, here's what
It's good
you
ROI.
get, assuming you're not a billionaire.
Currently
This
not.
bill throws over 16 million people off of the health insurance they have by slashing Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act by over $1.1 trillion. So, $1 trillion in tax breaks for the 1%, $1 trillion in cuts in Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, and it's literally, they're not hiding that, right? Once again, what they're doing is they're just convincing you that you should hate the people on your level more than you hate billionaires. That's really what they're saying to you, because they're not hiding that. They're saying they have a fucking chart that's like 1 trillion in Medicare, 1 trillion for fucking tax cuts. And they're like, yeah, because there's a bunch of people out there that should be fucking working, bro. Like, you're paying taxes and these fucking lazy Mexicans, bro. Those are the people that are like actually holding back America. That's why they're deporting people that aren't criminals. That's why they're talking about now deporting people that have birthright citizenship that get a DUI, right? They want to open up more and more jobs that are at a very low level because they want to force people into a place where they have to work these jobs. So these jobs right now, for every one American on unemployment, there is one job that is open, 1.1 jobs. When the country was doing really well and we were moving out of the pandemic and things were getting better, and there was 2 jobs for every one unemployed person. So that's why the unemployment rate was really low. That's why the unemployment rate still is low right now. But we just lost 33,000 jobs in the private sector, right? This is what they're doing. They are deporting people and they are cutting social safety nets to attempt to force people into a job. Now, I'm not against government programs that help people get jobs. I said before, like, I think that part of my tax money should go towards like Job Corps type of things to help people, specifically young people, find work and then get them into careers. But that's not what they're doing, because they're not going through this with a fine-tooth comb and finding, like, you know, there's not a fucking 18-year-old dude out there right now that is like completely capable of working, that's fucking just like criminalized, stealing from the system. Like, oh my God, this is the guy that's causing the issues in America. That's not what it is. Most of the people that are on Medicaid deserve to be on Medicaid. Most of the people that are getting these social safety nets are people that deserve these social safety nets. The majority of people that are benefiting from social safety nets are not stealing. They're not bad people. There is a portion of the welfare class. There is a portion of the people on Medicaid. There is a portion of people on unemployment benefits that, yes, that could be working, that are taking advantage of the system. But it is completely over-exaggerated how many of those people are those people. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to start forcing people back into jobs, into the workforce, that can't be there. Like, you can have a worker, potentially, that has a heart problem that should be only working, let's say, 20 hours a week because they're not capable of working a full 8-hour shift, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to force that person into a 40-hour work week. They're not going to be able to maintain that. Their health is going to decline. They're not going to be able to show up to work. That job is then going to have a spot that is never actually going to be completely filled because that person can't be there all the time. That person's their potential for being fired is going to get higher and higher. They're going to go from job to job trying to support themselves, and they're going to get fired over and over again, which is going to make it harder for them to get hired at any new job that they try to get. And eventually they are going to be stuck in the cycle of poverty. Now, if that person has children, those children are going to be part of that cycle of poverty. If those children have children, those children's children, their grandchildren, will also become a part of that cycle of poverty. If America ever wants to truly become a country where everybody feels good about living here, everybody's patriotic about being American, you're going to have to solve poverty. It is not going to be by giving fucking billionaires more money. Thank you for being here, Marcia. I appreciate you. Go eat something. This idea, it doesn't make any sense. And the fact that fucking middle-class people, blue-collar people, impoverished people are supporting it is a clear fucking indication that this country is full of ignorant fucking people. And I mean that in the definition of that word. That is, you do not know. You are not educated as to what would make your life better. You just want somebody to blame, and the easiest fucking person to blame is a guy sitting next to you because he's on your level, and you can hate him because when you look in the fucking mirror, he is you. That's why. When you see those billionaires, you see who you wish you were.
Further, it forces millions of Medicaid recipients to pay a $35 copayment every time they visit a doctor. So what is the impact of all this? What happens when you throw 16 million people off health care? You impose a $35 copayment. Well, what the Yale School of Public Health and the University of Pennsylvania estimate is that if this reconciliation bill is enacted, and it's unbelievable for me to say this, but this is what they are telling us. This is what they have studied. If this bill goes through and all these healthcare cuts take place, over 50,000 Americans will die unnecessarily each and every year.
Every year. These are people that told you that they're concerned about a population decline. These are people that have literally voted to have their own benefits taken away from themselves. Because once again, we were talking about this at the beginning of the stream, is these people don't think it's going to happen to them. These people are going to go, well, hold on, I got diabetes. I can't feel my feet. I'm in a wheelchair. Look, I need those social safety nets. But they don't call them social safety nets, right? Those people don't get handouts. Those aren't handouts. They're Americans. They worked hard for that money. They don't think that it's going to get taken away from them. Well, I guarantee you this. A large proportion of those 50,000 Americans that are going to die every single year are going to be people that voted for Trump. Because the greater majority of people that are on these social safety nets are not the type of people that are going to work every day. Like, these are people that, I got bad knees, man. I got diabetes. I've drank a lot of Coke in my life. These are people that 50,000 Americans that are going to die. Some of them are going to be people that are just in a bad fucking place. Some of them people are going to be people that never had a fucking chance in this country. And a lot of these fucking people are going to be people that thought it would never happen to them, and they voted for this fucking moron.
50,000 Americans. In other words, this bill is a horrific death sentence for low income and working class Americans. Further, if this legislation is enacted, rural hospitals all over the country that are already struggling will be forced to shut down. It would also make massive cuts to community health centers and nursing homes. In other words, this legislation is the most significant attack on the healthcare needs of the American people in the modern history of our country. So, our healthcare system is broken, it's dysfunctional, and they make it even worse. And that's not all. This bill wipes out nutrition assistance for millions of hungry kids at a time when we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of nearly any major nation on earth.
And what do you think happens when you have hungry, poor children that have no access to health care, that their parents are struggling? What do you think happens? Crime elevates. Because when you put people in positions where they don't have any hope, they have no incentivization, because punishment is not incentivization. That's a really stupid thing about our country. Our country thinks that you can punish bad behaviors out of people. If you just make things bad enough, people will just stop doing them. No, if you make things bad enough for people that are doing bad things, they get better at doing them. That's what happens. They become more desperate. You don't solve mental illness, right, by shocking a person. We figured that out. You don't solve mental illness by jamming a fucking ice pick into somebody's brain and lobotomizing them. That doesn't work. You can't harm a person or punish a person out of these bad behaviors. The way that you solve crime is by incentivizing people not to commit crimes, by putting them into places where they have so much to lose that is an issue. If you take me at 10 years old, when I had nothing, when I'm eating out of trash cans, and you put me in a grocery store, I don't have any reason not to put shit in my pockets. But if you take 45-year-old me at this point in my life and you put me in a grocery store and I have enough money to pay for things and my children are well fed and my rent is paid and I have a job, I'm like, why the fuck would I steal something? That doesn't make any sense. What you are doing when you do things like this, when you rip away social safety nets, when you take away nutrition assistance for children, you are creating more crime. And then these same motherfuckers are going to go, that's crazy now, all these people are committing crimes. Yeah, because you took away their hope. Because you gave them no choice. Because you left them in a place that literally teaches them how to become a worse person. I know, I was there. I was that person.
This bill will also make it much harder for working class kids to receive the higher education they need by cutting education by some $350 billion. At a time when the planet is struggling with climate change, heat waves now all over the world.
I'm with you, Brian.
This bill decimates investment in energy efficiency and sustainable energies like wind and solar.
And like I said before, the electricians union estimated 800,000 jobs would be put at risk. 800,000 good paying jobs. And I think it was Elon Musk. Once again, I'm fucking going to have to agree with Elon Musk on this. Or maybe he retweeted somebody else. Let's just say that's what happened. Said, this bill puts money into jobs that are no longer sustainable. So I've already said this. There's so many jobs that are being taken over by automation and by AI, right? So what do we need to be doing? We need to be doing what China's doing. We need to be doing what the EU is doing. We need to be producing semiconductors in this country. We need to be producing solar panels in this country. We need to be installing green energy. We need to be working on jobs that don't necessarily take college educations, that are very good paying jobs and super accessible because they're necessary. That's what we need to be doing. And instead what we're doing is we're taking out the subsidies for those types of jobs and we're putting them back into the fucking we're going to send people to work back to work at the car manufacturers. No, we're not. Those car manufacturing companies, they don't use human beings anymore. They have automation. And we have passed the point. You're not going to convince these car manufacturers to put people back into good paying jobs when they can literally just fucking put robots on the line. People aren't standing on lines fucking putting together cars anymore. They are robots with a dude standing at the fucking end of the fucking thing looking down to make sure the robots aren't doing anything they're not supposed to be doing. He's just checking the screen to make sure everything's running the way it's supposed to. There's a Apple factory, right, for producing tablets and stuff. They brought it back. I think it's in Texas. They brought it back. There's almost no human beings working in that facility. So they're like, yeah, look, bro, we brought back Apple. Apple's in Texas. Good paying jobs gonna be in Texas, bro. No, they're not. There's no people working there. Meanwhile, we're kicking fucking taxi drivers out of their jobs by putting out Waymos and fucking robo-taxis, which I don't have a fucking problem with automation. I don't have a problem with AI. What I have a problem with is a bunch of fucking politicians lying to people and acting like UBI is so far. We can't do that. There's no way, guys. There's no way. We're not going to be able to give you guys UBI. But we are going to be able to let people steal your jobs. You know, they haven't been lying to you guys. There is somebody that's going to steal your jobs. But it ain't Mexicans. It ain't black people. It ain't poor people. It's robots and AI. And if you don't have to be against AI. You don't have to be against automation to understand what I'm saying. You can be pro-AI, pro-automation. But understand that your government is failing you because not a single fucking one of them is having a discussion right now about what should be done before people lose their jobs. So that way when you lose your job, you don't fall into poverty. So you don't become part of that cycle.
If you are concerned about how the United States keeps getting into never-ending wars, this bill makes a bad situation even worse by handing out another $150 billion to the Pentagon, a 15% increase in an already bloated Pentagon budget. Now, I want to applaud all of the Democrats, every single one of them, who strongly oppose this bill. And I want to congratulate two Republicans, Senators Paul and Senator Tillis, for voting with the Democrats in opposition to proceeding on this bill. But here is something really...
Yeah, now Tom Tillis isn't running next year. The Democrats, they gotta not mess this up. They gotta not mess this up. You know, when Biden was originally running, I think it was 2023. I remember hearing, I think it was Michael Still on like CNN saying, this is the chance that Democrats have been waiting for, the chance to snatch defeat out of the mouth of victory. And I was like, fuck, he's right. He's right. I'm like, they can definitely fuck this up. And that's what happened, obviously. Well, we're back there again. We're back there again. And Democrats should be, I mean, you should, if you're a Democrat right now, if you're a politician, if you're an activist, if you're a campaign manager, you should be exhausted at how hard you're working already. That's how much you should be putting into the effort to get ready for 2025, for the elections in November. Like right now, if you're a Democratic politician, Fetterman, that's talking about like, I'm mad because I have to be here rather than be at the beach, you deserve to lose your place. Because right now, every single Democratic politician should be laying the foundation, doing the groundwork for 2025 elections in November. Because once again, I would not put it past the Democrats to fuck this up.
Really interesting and quite telling about where the Republican Party is today. When Senator Tillis of North Carolina indicated that he would...
Doctor, those are the words I like. Progressive Humanist Party. Like, I really truly believe in secular humanism. And, you know, I don't attach myself to any group, right? But I believe in progressive values. I believe in secular humanistic values. I don't understand how even a person that is religious can't agree with humanist values. I can't understand how somebody that is conservative can still disagree with everybody having health care and everybody being taken care of. Like I said, a large amount of these people that are being taken care of by these safety nets are conservatives. It drives me nuts. It just seems like fucking common sense.
Would vote against the bill. He was lambasted on social media by Trump, and he was threatened with a primary. He actually did not do what Trump wanted him to do. Is there anything in this world that is worse than that? Today, Senator Tillis announced that he would not seek
Yep.
re-election. So it is pretty clear to me, and I would hope to every American, that the Republican Party of today does not tolerate any independent thought. One might have believed that members of Congress were elected to represent their constituents, to do what they thought right for their constituents.
Crazy.
But that's not what it is in the Republican Party right now. The sole function of Republican members of Congress is just to tell Donald Trump how brilliant he is, how infallible he is, how great he is. Put up a statue of him on Mount Rushmore. Oh my God. And if any Republican, like Senator Tillis, suggests otherwise, they will be politically destroyed. This is pathetic, and it has all of the hallmarks of the kind of authoritarian society that Trump wants to take us into. Dissent is simply not tolerated anymore within Republican ranks. I don't have to tell anybody that this is an extremely difficult moment in American history. Trump and the oligarchs have unlimited wealth. They have a great deal of power and they want more. But there is something that we have. And we saw that just last week in the recent mayoral primary in New York City. So what you had is one candidate supported by all of the big money interest, all of the oligarchs, but you had the other candidate who was supported by ordinary people. And guess who won? The guy, Mr. Mamdani, who was supported by rank and file New Yorkers, won the election. So I think what we can learn from that is that if we stand together and not let Trump and his friends divide us up based on our religion or where we were born or our sexual orientation or the color of our skin, if we stand together, we can beat the 100%. Oligarchs. And let me tell you, in this moment in history, that is exactly what we've got to do. Thanks very much.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, does a candidate have a chance without taking dark money? Does a candidate have a chance without accepting like billionaire campaign donations? No, that's crazy. Like, I don't think that they should. I think that the answer is to get money out of politics. I think that the answer is to overturn Citizens United. I think the answer is to, support candidates in the best way we can. But I would be like, no, most likely you're right. Like, there's no way that these people are going to win unless they take the money. But I don't believe that that's true right now. I think right now that people have a golden chance to finally be able to vote for the people that might, I'm not going to say these people are going to, that's a bridge too far, that might represent their interests. And the reason I believe that is because there is so much information, so much alternative media now putting a spotlight on candidates that these people believe in, right? Like if David Pakman has a guy on his show, he probably thinks that guy represents the beliefs he believes in. And his audience does. If I talk about somebody on this show, it's because that's what I believe in. If you have Brian Tyler Cohen, somebody on his show, then that's somebody probably he believes in and his audience believes in, right? So obviously, I'm not getting money from billionaires, and I don't think that Brian Tyler Cohen or David Pakman, and I'm using them as an example because they're the biggest streamers on here in this media, are taking money from those people either. If we do the right thing and put people forth that represent the values of the people that we believe follow us, and we give them a chance, I believe that this is a golden chance for us to get people elected that never had a chance ever before because of billionaire money. So I hope Bernie's right. I hope he's right. AOC, yeah. AOC was kind of one of the first people, Like, it's good to see her win in the way that she won. But she did it during a time that I think I would have said was hard to do. But she did it during what I'm talking about too. She did it using the internet. One of the reasons I actually think that AOC would be a good choice for a presidential candidate, and I know there's just so many people on the left right now being like, no, it's a woman. We've already tried this twice. I'm triggered. Like, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. I say that because that's how people respond to me when I say AOC. Like, she'd be a good candidate. They're like, dude, we've already tried this twice. This woman's not going to win it, bro. Like, god damn, the misogyny coming from both sides drives me fucking nuts. The reason that I think that she has a possibility of winning is because she's using the tools that I'm talking about. Because she understands how to use Instagram. I don't think she's old enough to run, right? Not yet. Would she be old enough to run by 2028? I'm not sure. I could look that up. I don't think she's old enough to run. But she knows how to use Instagram. She knows how to use social media. She knows how to reach young people. These are all things that the left is fucking horrific at. But she knows how to do them. She knows how to use them. And, I think that there's a lot of positives to the fact that she stood up and hasn't changed a lot of her policies, but has become a better politician. I think that when she first came in, even I was like, well, she's a little green, right? Like she's got to just like spend some time working on, crafting policy and stuff like that before I'm ready for her to be a person that I'm supportive of. And I liked the fire. I liked who she was. I liked her personality, but I was like, she needs to get better at the policy portion. And she's done that. And I think that even with the polish, she's moved forward to become a more polished politician, but has not sacrificed the greater percentage of her values, which a lot of people do. Look at Fetterman. Look at Fetterman just grifting. Just fucking throwing everything that he ran on out the window so that way he can potentially, ride the coattails of Donald Trump into some type of fucking MAGA weirdness. She is old enough. She's 36, huh? No shit. I would put her at like 29. I'm going to be honest with you guys. And I'm not flirting, okay? I'm not flirting. I have a wife of 20 years. I'm just saying, I put her at 29. Okay, 36. No shit. So anyways, I think that people should recognize that right now is probably our best chance before AI really does take over for the most part and get to a point where we don't know what the fuck is going on anymore. She's not old enough. Give her 50 years. When she's like 80. When she's like 80, these people will vote for her. No doubt. So anyways, let's watch this More Perfect Union video on how this bill is actually going to transfer the trillions of dollars from workers to Wall Street. I like these guys' videos. I think they do a good job of explaining things. I like the content, so make sure to go over there and subscribe and stuff. I really like these guys.
You guys want to play a guessing game? You got snacks. It's cool. Hey, you guys want to play a guessing game? I'm alright. Okay. I wish I had.
Thank you. Oh, dude. Did she pick the fair to do this? I mean, how many people are stopping at a fair to talk to a lady that's saying you want to play a guessing game?
Some prizes.
I'm at this strawberry festival in Ohio.
Oh, strawberry
and I'm asking
festival.
a question that most Americans get wrong.
The CEO of Lowe's, the hardware store, how much more do you think he makes compared to the average Lowe's worker who is helping you find the screwdrivers or whatever?
3 times.
3 times more?
What? This lady does not live in reality. Did she say 3 times the CEO makes 3 times more money than the average worker? Try like 3,000 times. Try 300 times. 3 times? Dude, the average worker at Lowe's probably makes, I'm going to say 30K. I wonder if they're going to include bonuses or if this is just going to be per year.
3.
Also 3. Okay, how much more do we think the CEO of McDonald's made than his workers last year?
I'm going to say 9.
The CEO of McDonald's made 1,212 times what.
Yeah, 1,000 times. Yeah,
his average worker made. 557 times more,
I was close,
410
300
times more than the average Home Depot worker.
Regardless of their politics, there's one thing that most Americans agree on. CEOs make way too much money.
I'm a paycheck to paycheck woman. It's not fair. I'm a lawn.
It's not just you, ma'am. This is like what I said is like, regardless of political affiliation, let's just say you carve out all the other things that people believe, right? Policies, whether or not they think that, you know, it's all the Mexicans on the welfare or whatever the fucking stupid shit these people believe. Or like, you know, like gender ideologies. Cut out all of that stuff. Just cut out all of that stuff. And recognize that you're in the same boat when it comes to this question right here. Do you live paycheck to paycheck? And I was having this conversation the other day. I myself grew up extremely poor. I had very bad interactions with credit cards and with a car loan when I was very young. I watched people get stuck in the cycle of poverty. So I learned a lot very early about what to do with money and what not to do with money. So now, where I'm at in my life is I have a career that I worked at for 20 years. I get paid pretty well. I'm very stable in my job. I have 0 credit card debt. I own both the vehicles that we have. They're fully paid off. The only debt that we have is a very small amount of student debt, which is in the low thousands, and a home, which is expensive as fuck. But that's the only debt that we have. So we pretty much have no real bills other than a small student loan payment and our mortgage every month, and then the normal bills that you pay. Groceries, electricity, gas, things like that. And then, of course, we have a couple kids. So, of course, we have to pay for the children, too. With that being said, I also make a very small amount of money on YouTube, but I do make some money. Like, enough money that if you were like a 19-year-old kid, you would be like, that's a good amount of money. You'd be happy with it, right? So it's something. I also play stocks, and I make some money from that. Not a ton of money. Once again, just like enough to be like, it's cool. I'm helping build my retirement, right? Because I don't have a retirement. I also have a 401k. So with all of these things being said, I work all the time. I work 40 hours a week at my job. I come home. I work probably 20, 25 hours on this channel. I'm writing a book. I'm doing all of these different things. I'm playing stocks, all to try to just keep myself afloat. And I said to my wife the other day, I said, wow, it's fucking insane to think that with everything that we do, for how hard we work, how good we've been with our finances, how smart we are with money, that we still are just one bad thing from happening from being poor. And I can only imagine what it's like to be a young person in this atmosphere. My house we purchased at the lowest part of the market, 2012. The beginning of 2012, right before the market started to recover. So my mortgage on my house is a fuck ton cheaper than rent for most people, for like apartments and stuff like that. I can only imagine how hard it is for people that don't have a 20-year career, that do have a car loan, that do have real college debt, that do have credit card debt, that have real rent to pay. Right now, in this time, and to think that we can't bond over the fact that we are living paycheck to paycheck, and that there is literally no place where you are going to work fucking hard enough to escape living paycheck to paycheck. It's insane to me.
Laundry lady. I make less than $15 an hour.
I was a manager at McDonald's.
Okay, so you've seen it from the inside.
Unfortunately,
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, dude.
But it wasn't
that's what I'm
always
saying.
This way. If you go back to even just the mid-1960s, CEOs were making about 20 times as much as their workers. Today, that ratio has exploded to 290 times more. So,
and before COVID, it looks like it was a lot more.
This is the story of how the wealthy took a weird corporate trick that used to be illegal and used it to supercharge their wealth at the expense of their workers.
Golf, I'm
and
sorry.
Why this year
That's tough.
It could get way worse.
slap them for good luck.
Felix Allen used to work at Lowe's Home Improvement in New Orleans.
I started at $12 an hour. Straight up, there have been people who were alive, when Martin Luther King Jr. was working on the Poor People's Campaign, working at our store, making less than $15 an hour.
Those figures track with what most Lowe's workers make nationwide, about $33,000 a year. The company's CEO made 557 times more in 2023.
And we're going to be great.
One thing that became frustrating pretty quickly was understaffing. Often there were too many customers and not enough people in red vests.
Yeah, as a person that's been in leadership for almost 20 years, I can tell you this. This is only losing them money. When you pay people well, they can live comfortably, they show up to work more often. When you give people health care, they're not afraid to get sick and to go to the doctor and have it taken care of. When people don't go to the doctor, those health concerns continue to pile up and become worse and worse, and the person misses more and more work. When you have people that are well paid and have health insurance and feel like they're appreciated, you have a better work environment. When you have a better work environment, your employees treat customers better. So when you have a bad work environment and you have a upset customer, the last thing that you're going to get from a upset employee is an ability to de-escalate a situation. When you have a happy employee that feels appreciated, that feels like they're taken care of, that has a good personal life because they feel like they make enough money to live, they are going to de-escalate that situation. Why? Because I said it earlier when we were talking about the other video. Because you now have incentivized good behavior. You have said to a person, you want this job because this job takes care of you, not because you necessarily need it, but because it takes care of you and you want it. That is so much more important. When you understaff places, you have upset customers because you have upset employees. When you don't give people health care, you have understaffed businesses because people either feel like they're not appreciated or because they're legit getting sick and they have no way to deal with it, so they stay home. This is, as a whole, like, the American system is fucking dumb. Capitalism as a whole is the greatest economic driver in the world, but it has no humanity. And when you don't have the humanity that is necessary, you lose money. Because the best workforce that you can have is a happy, healthy, well taken care of workforce. That's how you make money.
It's stressful. It wears on you.
It's not just Lowe's. Workers at Home Depot, CVS, and Starbucks also say that understaffing is endemic nationwide. But all these companies are super profitable. I mean, wouldn't it make sense for them to just have enough staff
and imagine they could be even more profitable,
scheduled on the floor to help their customers?
They're just doing it the easy way. It's like, when you toss your humanity out the window, when you stop having empathy for other people, stop caring, like, it's easy to use capitalism to make money. I mean, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Throw away your humanity, get rid of your empathy, make money. Like, those are the steps.
Just good business, right? Well, it used to be. Let's rewind back to 1979. That's when Lowe's graduated from a single North Carolina hardware store to a nationwide chain with a listing on the New York Stock Exchange. Back then, the CEO of a company like Lowe's basically had three options for what to do with their profits. They could put them back into the business, maybe open some new stores, or invest in some fancy inventory software. They might use some of it to reward all of those new shareholders with a payment called a dividend. Maybe they use it to invest in their workers, pay for them to learn a new skill, or at least hire enough of them at a high enough wage to help their existing customers. Or maybe they do a little bit of all three. Remember this chart? This is the era that we're talking about.
The gap between the average big company CEO and their typical worker was about 25-1.
Corporations were largely reinvesting in their innovation process, and in some cases, because of strong unions, paying their workers living wages.
But then something shifted in American corporate culture. It would eventually lead to the explosion of CEO pay that we've seen since then. It was a complete revolution in the way American companies were run.
There's a scene in the 1991 Danny DeVito movie, Other People's Money, that actually does a pretty good job showing this new way of thinking.
Make the stockholders richer. Are you going to liquidate New England Wire and Cable? And if so, what about the people who work here?
Danny DeVito plays a corporate raider who is trying to convince the shareholders of a small New England cable company to sell him their shares so that they can cash out when he liquidates the company.
Remember when people like this were villains in movies? We live in such a strange fucking reality. Jesus Christ, they literally made movies about how these people were bad. We've made movies. We've written books. Like I said, one of the weirdest things about Trump fucking breaking politics as he has and breaking these cult members through mass psychosis, one of the weirdest things about it is watching these people go from hating companies like BlackRock to being okay with them doing stuff for Trump. It's insane to watch these people go from George Soros is bad, Elon Musk sucks, to Elon Musk is actually a genius. Like, it is fucking mind-boggling that there is a portion of our society that is so stupid that they have been convinced to hate the other side that's trying to give them things that will help them not live paycheck to paycheck, that will give them a vacation, that will give them safety and stability, that'll give them more time with their children. Like, this wouldn't be weird if it had always existed in this manner. That, like, for the past 50 years, all of us weren't saying that guy is clearly the villain in this movie. Like, if you ran into somebody and you were telling them about a movie and you were like, oh, and this fucking guy, he's trying to liquidate the company and he's going to fucking, end up firing all these people and they're all going to lose their jobs. But there's this one dude and he stands up against him and, like, he saves everybody's job. You'd be like, oh, that guy's the hero and the other guy's the villain. And every once in a while, you'd run into one asshole, right? You'd run into that one friend of yours that'd be like, well, bro, capitalism's actually not bad. It's that, like, what you need to know is that, like, that guy, he works hard for his money. Like, what do? Like, you're just flipping the burgers. He's doing the hard job. You'd run into that one guy, right? And it seems like that one guy procreated more than the other people did, because now all of a sudden there is a whole half of the country that is defending billionaires while they have gigantic fucking weddings filled with celebrities and crazy stars and fucking yachts and vacations to anywhere in the world they want to go at all times, while you're living going like, man, rent's high, this must be Biden's fault. It's fucking crazy.
You invested in a business, and this business is dead. Let's have the intelligence to sign the death certificate to our employees, to our community. What will happen to them? I got 2 words for that. Who cares?
Remember this was
He
evil?
tells the
Remember when this is
shareholders that
evil?
the company has done them wrong by not prioritizing their payouts.
They sucked you dry. And our stock, 1/6 what it was 10 years ago.
DeVito is styled as the kind of lovable villain of this movie, but he actually represents a way of thinking that was taking over American business at the time.
The way that we have thought about the purpose of the corporation since the Reagan Revolution is to make as much money as possible for shareholders.
We're going to turn the bull loose.
I refer to this as shareholder
and fucking Reagan.
Their primacy.
In the movie, the shareholders eventually agree.
It looks like the name of the movie, Ross, is Other People's Money, 1991, Warner Brothers.
To sell to DeVito's character over the objections of the company's CEO. In real life, shareholders found a way to make sure that CEOs always put their interest above everybody else's. Instead of paying CEOs a salary in cash like workers at the rest of the company, start paying them in company stock. The idea spread like wildfire.
Well, if one CEO starts to be paid in this new structure and you see their compensation go up very rapidly, that's going to spread very quickly across the entire ecosystem. It's like keeping up with the Joneses.
Something else happened when CEOs started getting paid in company stock, and it goes a long way towards explaining why companies like Lowe's won't schedule enough work.
You want my thoughts on Charlie Kirk? What do I think about Charlie Kirk? I think that Charlie Kirk is a guy that, as long as he is having conversations with random college kids on campuses, makes himself look really intelligent. And the moment that he's ever accosted by a person with a fully functioning frontal lobe, he absolutely gets his ass handed to him. That's what I think of Charlie Kirk. I think Charlie Kirk is a racist, and I think he's openly said he's a white nationalist. In fact, I think he said, "Am I a white nationalist? Yeah, I guess I am." And I don't have a problem with that. I think he said about a pilot, if I get on a plane and there's a black pilot that's flying that plane, I'm going to question whether or not I'm safe. So I think he's a racist, and I think he's a moron.
Workers to help customers, or pay their employees like Felix a living wage. Remember those?
Oh, I should say this. I do think that he's done one thing really well. He's definitely played the part to grift off of the uneducated, morally compromised MAGA cult members. I'll give him credit for that. He took advantage of the most aggressively gullible people on this planet, aggressively gullible beings on this planet. And he did that really well. And he has convinced a whole generation of young and dumb conservatives that he's a smart guy and that he has their best interests in mind. And neither one of those things are true.
Those three options that Lowe's and other companies used to have for what to do with their profits?
I'm glad you agree.
In 1982, right before CEO pay started to really take off, they added a fourth option: buying shares of the company's stock. Here's how it works.
Let's say each share of Lowe's stock sells for $100 on the open market. Then the CEO of Lowe's decides to use some of the company's profits to buy back some of those shares. Now, all of a sudden, with fewer
Increases
shares
the price.
remaining, each share is worth a bunch more. Ta-da!
If this is reading to you like some kind of scammy corporate magic trick, you're not wrong.
For much of our history, stock buybacks were illegal.
The lawyers of big companies knew that a company could be
I'm betting this happened during Powell's time. How much do you want to make a bet this happened during the U.S. Supreme Court, the Powell memo, when he became on the U.S. Supreme Court? How much do you want to bet? Chamber of Commerce and all this shit happening at the same time. How much do you want to make a bet?
accused of manipulating its market price if it went ahead and did stock buybacks.
That changed when Ronald Reagan was elected in 1980 on a platform of deregulation, and he picked a Wall Street executive to be the head of the SEC. And that SEC chair decided that allowing stock buybacks would help companies that wanted to enrich their executives and their shareholders without really having to do anything to improve their performance.
The Schoolhouse Rock theory of investing holds that in order for a company's stock price to go up, they have to actually do something, like increasing their pollution. I mean, their sales.
Looks as if their sales are going up sky high. Better call my broker and tell him to buy.
But with buybacks, corporations can raise their stock price without actually doing anything. I mean, just put yourself in the shoes of the Lowe's CEO. Nearly 80% of your annual pay is in company stock, and you get a $3 million bonus if the stock price hits a certain level.
Your workers created nearly $7 billion in
Jesus
profits
Christ.
last year.
What do you do with the money? Use it to make a bunch of your part-time workers full-time?
My thoughts on Dean and Parker. I'm a little bit. I think Dean and Parker are both really young, and I would like to see Dean and Parker in a decade. I think they're both good kids. I think they're both very intelligent. I think they're both pretty good debaters. I think they both need polish. I think this is the right environment to get that polish. I think I like Parker a little more than I like Dean. I think that a lot of their time is spent debating MAGA supporters. And I think that that's kind of the same thing I'm saying about Charlie Kirk. I think that that's probably not the best place. I know it's entertaining. I recognize that it's very entertaining to watch Dean and Parker talk trash to MAGA supporters. But I think as you grow older, that you want things that have more substance. And I do think that by them debating Trump supporters, that they do disseminate good amounts of information and important information. But I would like to see them do more that is less entertainment and more about being a part of something that matters and making a difference. If that's the nicest way I can say it, because I'm a grumpy old man that thinks that YouTube is too often clickbait and entertainment and not enough of the time that is spent on here is actually worthwhile. That's my grumpy old man way of talking about it.
So they can help customers, got to pay the shareholders their dividends, don't want to get fired, use it to pay your employees a living wage so they stick with the company longer. Or use it to do a massive stock buyback, which literally makes the shares that you own worth more.
We need another cut.
And ensures that you get that $3 million bonus.
Why wouldn't they? If you put an incentive structure in place where CEOs legally manipulate the market price of the stock that directly and indirectly affects their own compensation, why wouldn't they?
That's crazy.
They can inflate their own paychecks without having to do anything to improve company performance.
Stock buybacks are a huge reason why the pay gap between CEOs and their workers jumped in the 80s and 90s and has stayed high ever since.
You've seen consistently companies like Lowe's or Walmart or Starbucks where workers have been organizing. They have billions of dollars going out the door in stock buybacks. They say they cannot afford to pay their workers even a very, very low basic wage.
They're literally buying back their own stocks. It's hard for me to understand, but it's clear that if they're doing that,
And that, what he just said, is the most important part. Is that he said, it's really hard for me to understand. Most people, so I play stocks, right? I learned a lot about stocks in a very short amount of time because I had a lot of alone time, hours at a time where I could just watch videos, read books. I bought... do I not have it? Somewhere around here. The Intelligent Investor. Oh, here it is. I bought this book right here. It's The Intelligent Investor. I read a lot of books, spent a lot of time, and I can tell you this. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to understand stocks, puts and options, shorts, understanding what makes a shell company, something that you should be concerned about. What is a OTC stock? What is a penny stock? What's a triple OT? What's a, knowing all these things about the stock market is very difficult. And a lot of people obviously just give most of the responsibility to or accountability to a person to do this job for them for a good reason. But this is one of the reasons that people should be well-rounded, is you should learn to be well-rounded about everything that potentially could be involved in, your life. Because if you don't know how stock buybacks work, you don't know why you should be pissed off that they exist.
got some coin to throw around, and they're getting paid however many hundreds of dollars per hour. And yet, my coworker who has worked at Lowe's for 20 years is making less than 15. I mean, it's almost like laughable. It's obviously incredibly
Golf,
offensive.
that's a good call.
When companies started paying their CEOs in stock, it helped kickstart a massive nationwide transfer of wealth from workers to CEOs and shareholders. More recently, that wealth transfer has gone into overdrive thanks to one specific law.
Another huge turning point was the 2017 tax reform.
The biggest tax
Yeah, I wonder who did that.
cut, biggest reform of all time.
Now, as Trump and the Republicans are working overtime to make
This dude in that fucking Sharpie, man.
these tax cuts permanent in his big, beautiful bill.
Have fun, Dr. Don.
It's easy
Enjoy.
to see how it'll supercharge this wealth transfer from workers to CEOs, because we already have all the evidence.
The biggest giveaway in that 2017 reform was the slashing of the corporate tax rate from 35 to 21%.
That's huge.
This change gave corporations a huge amount of cash to throw.
Yeah, and here you go. Here you go. Every one of these conservatives that believes right now that Trump is going to make life better for them, ask yourself this. How much more money have you gained, like total? Like, how much better has your life become? How much easier is it to pay your rent? How much easier is it to buy groceries? How much easier it is to have gas in your car? And before you say, well, you know, Biden and his wars, Trump's starting wars. Trump literally bombed Iran. Before you say, well, grocery prices were higher under Biden. First of all, one of the things I give both presidents is that COVID was an anomaly. It's a pandemic. But even with that being said, where are your grocery prices going right now? Trump just came out and said he has a 20% tariff now on Vietnam, right? Who do you think pays a regressive tax? Do you think it's not going to be you that pays that 20% tariff tax? Why do you think Nike just said that they are going to have to raise prices by $1 billion total? Why do you think that there has been a slashing of 33,000 jobs in the private sector in this last month? It's because you have to pay for these tax cuts. Trump got lucky. Trump came in on the tail end of Obama's economy that was fucking ripping. By the time that Trump took over for Obama, gas was already low. Prices were already going down. The economy was already on the way up. Now he's been given the task of taking an economy that was coming out of a pandemic, that was legit headed for a fucking recession, that Biden just kept out of the fucking gray, just out of the red, but also at the same time had a hard time correcting for the blue collar workers, for the middle class, for the impoverished, because he wasn't willing to step across certain lines that he thought would cause the next Republican president to do the same. Biden played it a little too safe. The economy was bad for lower middle class people, for blue collar people, and for middle class people, for impoverished people. Why? Because it's been that way for a very long time. And he didn't want to cross certain lines and overstep his own authority to do things that would have been popular with everyday Americans, and I wish he fucking would have. Trump is doing the exact opposite. Trump is overstepping those boundaries, willfully disregarding the law, not for middle-class Americans, not for lower middle-class Americans, but for the ultra-wealthy. Things are not going to get better. He's about to put the same tax into effect that he had going during Biden. So if you didn't like the taxes under Biden, you don't like this current tax plan that he's proposing. Things aren't going to get better. They're only going to get worse.
Company leaders promised that they would use their windfalls from that tax cut and funnel it almost immediately into workers' hands through wage increases and bonuses.
Where you're going to start seeing a lot more money in your paycheck.
Well, what happened after that bill was passed?
Oh, that's funny.
A handful of companies gave some modest bonuses, but then that was it.
Can you guess what they did instead?
It's not just a big year for earnings. You know, it's a big year for buybacks.
Are expected to hit a record $1 trillion this year.
Companies announcing big share buyback programs along with their earnings reports.
Of course, the irony of it being named the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is that very, very little of these savings went to the workforce. Many people, including myself, were predicting.
Because they like symbolism, not substance. Literally, these people could be eating out of trash cans, and Trump could be telling him that he's going to do something about the situation, and they'd be eating out of the trash can, and you'd be like, hey, man, it really sucks that Trump's policies have gotten us here to where we are eating out of trash cans. And these guys would literally be like, it's going to get better. He already said it. He's doing things. He's working hard. It's not his fault. It's the libs. The libs are making it so he can't get shit done. Oh, that's weird because he's not listening to any judiciary. He's overstepping and becoming an authoritarian. He almost has unilateral executive power. You would think that he would be able to help you out. No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. As they eat out of a fucking trash can.
That we would see buybacks as a main way that companies were utilizing the gains. But we saw it in levels that I didn't even expect.
It really changed the norm for stock buyback spending.
When we did a big tax cut, and when they took the money and did buybacks, that's not building a hangar, that's not buying aircraft, that's not doing the kind of things that I want them to do. We didn't think we would have had to restrict it because we thought they would have known better.
And he's not going to do it now either. So once again, symbolism, not substance.
Clearly, they don't know
Dale
better.
Donuts golf.
And even if we take Trump at his word here that he didn't know companies were going to do all these buybacks with their tax savings, it raises a really important question. Why is he about to run the exact same play?
Exactly.
Trump's big, beautiful bill gives corporations another massive tax cut, but it doesn't put any limits on buybacks or tax them more aggressively, which was something that one of his own cabinet members, Marco Rubio, floated back in 2019.
We do want to create a preference for reinvesting it back into your business to increase productivity, innovation.
And do you want to guess why Rubio's buybacks tax isn't on the table this time around? Because days after he merely suggested it, Wall Street investors and their protectors in Congress threw a proper little fit. One investment advisor told CNBC it was part of a war on wealth. Another called it an attack on democracy in a Financial Times op-ed.
Communism!
I'm not sure what the problem is we're trying to solve here. Yes, there have been stock buybacks too. I just don't get this, the alarm over a perfectly normal, healthy aspect of a market economy.
Legislators saying we know better how to deploy corporate capital than the managers in the business.
Fast forward 6 years, and there is not one peep of buybacks opposition among Republicans. So that's the story of how CEOs ransacked America's corporations and took everything for themselves. It used to be a literal crime. Now it's just business as usual. And it's no wonder that so many Americans feel that the politicians who let this happen aren't representing them.
Do y'all feel comfortable sharing who you voted for in the last presidential election?
Trump.
Didn't vote.
No.
Like the choice.
No.
Didn't vote.
If you had a candidate that was running on a platform of capping CEO pay, would you have voted?
Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let them know what it's like for us regular people.
I didn't vote for a president.
If there was a presidential candidate out here talking about capping CEO pay at, I think what you said, like 3, 4, 5 times, would you support that candidate?
Yes.
It's not something that you hear politicians talk about a lot. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, the big donors, a lot of previous politicians, their wives, their families that are all capitalizing off of this money.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of
100%.
votes out there available for purchase.
But you think that, like, regular folks, people who are working for a living, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely vote for a president like that.
Well, there you go. Somebody. Fucking make it happen. And that's what I'm saying is, like, I believe we've been told a certain amount of lies. And one of them is all politicians are corrupt, right? I don't believe that. I've seen some really good politicians. I think that there are people out there that care. I do believe that money corrupts people. So I do believe that the best politicians that we have are probably the politicians that are taking the least amount of money. The other lie that we've been told is that that your vote doesn't matter. And I think that when you look at what happened with Zoran Mamdani, that you can see that your vote does matter. You can look across the aisle at fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and recognize that apparently dipshits votes matter. Okay? So I think that these things are very important. I think that people should be listening to these things. So, and when it comes to somebody like a Parker or Dean, speaking of those two guys, right? I said, earlier about AOC, I said when she was younger and she came in that she was very fiery and she needed polish and she needed time. I hope that this generation, I hope the Parkers and Deans and the Harry Sassans and the Chris Mowrys, I can't tell the difference between those two kids, just so you guys know. I'm like, is that Chris kid? Oh, it's the Harry kid. Is that Harry? No, that's Chris. Okay. They look the same, I swear to God. So does Guy Fieri and Rod Stewart. Just so you guys know, Rod Stewart might be Guy Fieri's illegitimate father. I'm throwing it out there. This is not financial advice. Allegedly. It's two kids. I get them mixed up every fucking time. Right now, there's some fucking kid watching this right now going, dude, they don't look anything alike. But I hope this generation is listening to this, because I think that this generation is a generation that has spent too much time watching TikTok, watching the way to become successful, being, hyperbolic and, owning the libs or owning the Republicans or whatever it is. Like, the way to really get this country to a place where things are actually better for people. And if you're on the left, that should be your main goal, right? Like, your main goal should be that you have some type of liberal or progressive values, and those values most likely include people being taken care of regardless of race, ethnicity, age, political affiliation, whatever. If that is what you want to do with your life and you are a young person, then you should be listening to what these people are saying, because that's going to be very important to your future, is working towards getting people in office that do believe that stock buybacks are evil, that do believe that CEOs shouldn't make 1,000 times what a basic employee does, that do believe that every job in this country should support a person being able to pay their rent and put food on their table. Because that's going to be very important to your future. So I like watching the people, even when I don't agree with every single thing that they say. And the younger generation obviously has a lot to say that I have pushback for. But that doesn't mean they're wrong, and it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It means that there's a conversation to be had about what the answer is, what the solution to the problems that we face are. So I just want to make sure that everybody hears that. I also think sometimes the young people are cringe. Take that, young people! Oh, I just fucking flipped the script on you! Because I know there's some fucking young kid right now that's like, this guy, the bald old guy is cringe. Like, yeah, I think you're cringe. Fucking take that! Take that! Oh. All right. Let's see what other videos we got. We still got time? Yeah, we got plenty of time. We still got plenty of time. All right, what do we got? I want to talk about these job numbers. We're heading right along this path of talking about economy and the budget and middle class workers and all that stuff. So let's go. I don't know. I have my Steam Deck right in front of me. I'm clicking stuff instead of pushing buttons. Let's watch this Adam Mockler talking about the Fox host scrambles as Trump gets shock job numbers. This is the 33,000 jobs that were lost during the month of June, when they were predicting 100,000 jobs to be added after an already subpar, I think it was in April, I think they had forecasted 97,000, and I think that there was only, they had said 35,000, and they actually took that estimate down to 27,000. So the economy is headed in a very strange place, and in my opinion, it's going to not be good. So let's watch this video.
All right, I want to show you all the moment that a Fox host, live on air, reacts to the horrible jobs report that came out early this morning. I'm really assuming Fox News now has a new rule: no live reacting to economic numbers on air under Trump's term.
Probably a pretty
over
good
and over and
rule.
over, we've gotten poor numbers regarding the GDP, which is supposed to be going up, year over year or quarter over quarter, but is now contracting every single quarter solely due to Donald Trump's tariff gains. We can talk about unemployment. We can talk about inflation, which did have problems in the post-COVID era. Inflation was a massive problem, but it actually started to decrease and go down. Now Trump's tariffs have...
Yeah, what was it, 2.7 when Biden left office? PCE, CPI, everything was getting better. I mean, there's still problems. Like I said, the biggest issue with the economy leaving Biden's presidency was the same issue that has existed forever, and that is that the middle class and below share a unfair burden when it comes to supporting social safety nets, and also when it comes to paying a greater percentage of their wealth in taxes. Those two things are a problem, have been a problem, and will continue to be a problem until we get progressive candidates into the job that are not afraid to hurt conservatives' feelings. That's really what it comes down to. If we want the economy to ever be good for those people and those two things to not be a problem, it's going to take a progressive candidate or a left-wing candidate. It doesn't have to be specifically progressive. A liberal candidate, a Democratic candidate that is not afraid to push the envelope.
Reverse coursed on that. So we're going to talk about all of this. But before I play this clip, I just want to show you what happened this morning on Fox and CNBC. So first of all, on CNBC, we learned that the private sector...
this space got a shout out on the Majority Report. That's what I'm talking about. I think we're over 1,000 over there. Pep Talks, if you're ever interested in joining up, I can send a strongly worded email to Matt the Letter Hack to let him know that you're interested. I know you do your own thing, but if you're interested in joining up with This Space crew, my friend, I would be happy to give you a reference.
Sector lost 33,000 jobs in June, badly missing expectations for
they thought
a
we're going to add
100,000 job increase.
We lost 33,000.
Think about that. Think about Maria Bartiromo, the Fox News host, sitting there waiting to see maybe a bit of a miss, 90,000 increase instead of 100,000 increase. But no, we lost 33,000, something unheard of since the COVID era. Someone said up top, GDP has reversed, and now this bloodbath of a jobs number. No COVID disaster created this. Just Trump and a backward MAGA economic policy. Call your congressman and tell them to stop the OBBB, the one big ugly bill, before it's too late. And it's in response to the CNBC article that rocked everybody. Private sector hiring unexpectedly contracted in June, and there are a lot of reports that recent college graduates are going to have problems. I mean, of course, people of all ages entering the worst.
Yeah, because, well, like I said before, when we're not talking about things like AI, AI is inevitable, right? Like, so my kid hates AI. I have people, musicians, a lot of musicians work for me. A lot of artists work for me. All of them hate AI, right? And I tell every one of them, like, I get it. I understand why you hate AI, but AI is inevitable, right? Like, if we don't do it, China's going to do it. If China doesn't do it, Russia's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it, right? Like, it isn't a question of whether or not AI is coming and whether or not it is going to take jobs and whether or not it is going to cause problems. That is an inevitability. It is a if, not when, or a when, not if. And the thing about that is that, like, that can be a manageable situation if we regulate AI, if we talk about things like UBI, if we spend a good portion of our political capital, our time, talking about how this is going to affect regular people, then you don't have the same amount of angst and anxiety from the citizenry, right? So when you have people potentially losing their jobs to AI, right? You can look at it in the way that, like, artists look at their art, right? A lot of artists, their financial well-being is tied to the uniqueness of their art, right? So if you have AI taking their art and creating art that looks very much like the art that they create, then they're understandably upset, right? They're understandably upset because this is a way that they potentially are going to not be able to be unique anymore. They're going to get the potential for their art to be stolen and to be used for profit by somebody else. And that's something that is concerning, that people should be worried about. But it would be a lot easier for people to understand and take if we were saying to those artists and stuff, either, hey, we're going to regulate it and we're going to make sure that your stuff is not being stolen, that you have the right to sue these companies if they do produce something that looks like your work. Or maybe also, you could say, we're going to make sure that the reason that you make art, the reason you make music, the reason that you create things is because you love to do it. And we are going to subsidize the things you do. We're going to make sure that you get paid in UBI to make up for the art that is stolen from you. And that won't make people that are artists happy, because they're still going to be mad that AI has stolen something from them. That is a evolutionary trait that will never go away. But it is going to make, for people that are artists, at least feel like at least they're not going to be poverty stricken and have no chance of ever, because this is what they've invested their life in. This is what they've, spent their whole life being good at doing this one thing, and now AI has stolen it from them. College graduates going to have a problem finding jobs. Artists, musicians going to have a hard time keeping their stuff from being stolen. Old jobs, like car factory jobs and factory jobs in general, are going to go the way of automation. 33,000 jobs lost during June are potentially 33,000 jobs that will never be regained because of the fact that automation is taking hold, because AI is taking hold. These are things that people should be worried about. And when you look at the low numbers, and I think it was April, of like 25 or 27,000, and they will continue to change those numbers as more information comes in. I hope you guys know, too, that there's something like 3 different large cities that are no longer reporting job numbers because they've been defunded by Trump's administration. So these job numbers are actually going to get harder and harder for us to understand, and he's doing that on purpose. He doesn't want you to know how bad he's fucking this all up. So you have to understand that those jobs are going to go away, and there's a potential that they never, ever actually come back. Taxi drivers losing their jobs to Waymos and to robotaxis, those jobs are potentially never coming back. We have to do something about this. We have to talk about it. Politicians need to create legislation around this, or else there is going to be a revolution.
Workforce are going to have a tough time, but new college graduates who are just now looking for a job, it's only going to get rough as the quarters go on and as we get closer to the midterms. That's our next hope, is the midterms, to stop this economic destruction. As somebody who is no longer a college student, I dropped out to start this. Make sure you drop a like and you subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed to support the channel. We will continue to relentlessly cover this all.
Good job,
The Democratic
Adam.
difference that for decades, Republicans have pretended to be the, quote, party of private sector by falsely claiming that the economy only adds government jobs under D's. Today, private sector jobs reports from ADP shows that Democrats are actually the party of creating private sector jobs. Check this out. Regarding jobs created, the last 5 months of Biden versus the first 5 months of Trump Part 2.
Don't
Biden
move to Bakersfield, Ross.
created 981,000 jobs during his last 5 months. The reason why they're comparing his last 5 months with Trump's first is because there should have been a seamless transition into the two, right? Trump should be continuing the numbers or even building on the Biden-era numbers, yet no. He slashed it, and these policies only get worse. Let's start with this clip of Sorkin from CNBC asking Tom Emmer, hey man, right now we're at 1.8% GDP growth year over year. Donald Trump and the Republican Party, they've promised to get us to 2.8%. How are we going to do that if you guys are only extending the exact same policies that have failed to get us to 2.8%? He's like, make it make sense.
Why?
There are no healthy groceries in Bakersfield, Ross.
Why are we currently not getting 2.8% growth today with the assumption if the CBO is at 1.8 and the administration's at 2.8, and part of what we're talking about here is extending the tax cuts that are already in place, and yes, you're going to capture no tax on tips, and maybe that'll drive some of this, but what is going to get you to the 2.8 number?
It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump and this legislation. Keep in mind, we've had 4 years of These
are the dumbest human beings on the planet. And they're the most full of shit people. Like, that was Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. That's going to get us to 2.8. Now he's going to talk about how Biden was the worst president ever. We're 4 years of just total fucking dumbassery. That's what he's about to say. Jesus Christ, these people are stupid.
Disaster under Joe Biden.
Oh, there's lots of trailer park chicks in Bakersfield. You should be good there, Ross.
Donald Trump has only had a little less than 6 months to try and fix this thing, and already...
Yeah, and he's already fucked it to the nines.
You've seen enormous changes in the CBO.
Yeah, in the negative.
Oh, by the way, 1.8% growth is what they projected over the next 10 years. This country has never had less than 2%.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tom. You fucking moron. It's almost like you almost get it.
Percent growth in any 10-year period. So be careful of the numbers that...
What's up, Starman?
These insiders put out, because...
These people, these statisticians, these economists, these people that have been doing this job for 30 years. Careful. Why would you trust them over Donald Trump, who knows nothing about any of this shit?
Bottom line is, we've seen it all throughout history. When you give Americans more of their hard-earned money, when you give them more freedom to make new things happen, they not only improve their own lives, but the rising tide lifts all boats.
And this is just overall not true. He's basically rebranding trickle-down economics, but if Trump...
Yeah. There is no water in trickle-down economics. The fucking billionaires literally have all the water. The boats will not be rising because there will be no water. The billionaires have all the water.
Trumpers want to talk about making America great again. The tax rate on corporations was quite high in the 50s or 60s when they would claim America was great. And
Right.
It doesn't just trickle down that simply. Now, I do agree that competition is a good thing in any market.
Yeah, it's a balance. This is what drives me nuts about everything, is it's balance. You want competition. You want healthy adversity. You want people to not become Wall-E, right? Like, you don't want people driving around in fucking hovercraft wheelchairs with a fucking milkshake in their mouth, weighing like 340 pounds because we've gotten to a point where everything is automated and the only thing we do is leisure, right? Like, that leads to really bad outcomes. But you also, like, the other end of it is this, idea people have where it's like you should slave away your entire fucking life. And if you end up being, 70 years old and you're still working in the factory, that's your fault. If you put 40 years into a job, you should be able to retire. Like, that's insane to say that a person that has worked, let's say, 30 years at a McDonald's shouldn't be allowed to retire. Like, they put in 30 years of public service, and they don't deserve to, like, have, like, I don't know, the last, like, 5 years of their life be, like, I don't know, semi-enjoyable? It's fucking insane.
do agree that when you have a competitive nature between businesses and a market where they can iterate and compete and improve, it is overall a good thing for the society. But that is separate. Like, competition and creating products is separate than hoarding wealth. Hoarding wealth is when somebody who started a business begins to just repetitively hoard wealth and not pay their taxes, and that's not...
Yeah, and fucking uses their money to influence legislation to increase their wealth. That's the problem. And it's so weird to hear blue-collar people defend this. They're, like, people think of money as being this thing where it's like, well, he can have, you know, multiple billions of dollars and I can too, right? There are only so many people within this culture that are going to have that money, and that money becomes generational. So every time somebody gets it, that means that some other people will never, ever, ever get that, because that money is always going to be passed down. I talk about this a couple times, that Generation X and Millennials are supposed to become the most hated generations. And for all you fucking haters out there right now, they're like, you already are. All right, fuck you guys, first of all. All right, but Generation X and Millennials are supposed to become the most hated generation. And that's because the boomers, who are currently the most hated generation, had the largest amount of accumulated wealth from the boomer period, right? So they have the most real estate, they have the most created businesses, they have the most amount of, like, you know, stock and everything like that. And what they're going to do is when they die, they're a pretty small generation. They're going to pass it down to even smaller generations because we have less and less people being born in these middle-class families. So the smaller generations will be X and Millennials. And then after they die, then their money is going to go to smaller and smaller generations, because the people with money, the people that are upper middle class, is getting smaller and smaller because, as I've said before, the lower middle class are the poor. The poor are just like, it's insane that poor people exist at the level that they do in America when we have as much ability to help them as we do, right? So impoverished people like existing at the level they do is fucking insane. So lower middle class people are actually poor. Middle class people are working poor. That means they live paycheck to paycheck. They work every fucking day of their life. They work all the time. They don't take vacations. They don't have health care. They're always working. So those people aren't getting the inheritance either. The upper middle class people, which are actually the middle class now, are going to receive the majority of inheritance. The more that this money gets passed down, the more it goes to fewer and fewer people, because there are more people on the bottom having children than there are in the middle or the upper middle. The upper middle and the middle have the least amount of kids because they want to be able to hold on to the little bit of money they have. The lower middle class, the poor people, tend to have more children because they have less accessibility to like buying prophylactics or to education. And we know that because Alabama. Sorry, Alabama. So it's just going down more and more. This is going to become worse and worse. It's not going to ever get better unless we do something about it. If we continue to push things the route that we have pushed things, then we will continue to create a larger and larger wealth gap until either people get drug out in the streets and shot. And I'm not looking to have that happen. I'm barely above the middle class. I'm fucking just cusping, okay, guys? I'm edging the middle class, okay? I'm not trying to get shot. Especially over my fucking, one vacation I get to take per year. If I'm gonna get shot, it's gotta be at least for 2 vacations. Fucking, there has to be an answer to this.
Paying their fair share or lifting all tides. I would argue that Jeff Bezos creating
Pep talks, my dad isn't
Amazon
helping you
made the United States a
So
more
you know,
productive society.
my dad, not
A lot of
helping.
you guys watching this have likely used Amazon recently, or at least one of their services. But Jeff Bezos, off the back of Amazon, hoarding a lot of wealth, probably not as helpful for society. And I think that's an okay argument to make. That's not the argument Tom Emmer's making. He's making the argument that endlessly slashing taxes for the richest of the rich will trickle down due to some form of altruism or something. No. That's not competition. That is called just hoarding wealth. Right here, we have Marita Bartiromo, then 30 minutes later, reacting to the news of the morning, the ADP jobs report.
Of course, President Trump is talking about this bill leading to growth in the economy. We are waiting any moment now to get the jobs numbers for the month of May. The expectations call for the ADP numbers to be up 95,000 for the month of June, rather. It's the June jobs data, and we'll, of course, right now, seeing the number actually show a decline in jobs.
I love the poorly educated.
I love Tesla. Down 33,000 on ADP.
Let me play this one more time. She's a little bit shocked.
Of June, rather. It's the June jobs data, and we'll, of course, right now, seeing the number actually show a decline in jobs, down 33,000 on ADP. The bill includes $25 billion for the Golden Dome, the missile defense system, Senator.
She's like, let's just talk about something other than them jobs numbers. Let's do that. That's great. Let's do that.
You introduced a bill supporting the construction of that system. I want to get your take on defense and whether or not
His take is Donald Trump will fix it. No different than this take of who's going to fix this. His answer is literally just Donald Trump. I mean, I know I played this clip, but listen to his answer.
It's Donald Trump.
Donald Trump will fix it all. Lord have mercy.
It's Donald Trump.
They have a cult-like obsession with thinking that he can fix every and any problem when he's digging us into a deeper hole due to his unpredictable tariff policies that affect small businesses. I run what I'd consider a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is big for YouTube, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like a small business that I run. And what I've found as a small business owner, it's really common sense. Month over month, you need to have a stable prediction of how much money's coming in in where you're putting money out. For example, if I'm buying resources, paying an editor, I need to know exactly what's happening over the next few months so I can project. When Trump introduces tariffs, first of all, that uproots all of it. But when he introduces tariffs in the way that he did, think about the flip-flopping over and over and over. A small business like mine, we're like, what the hell? I was supposed to buy $6,000 of supplies. Now it's $12,000 of supplies. That is business ruining. A $6,000 increase in supplies is business ruining for like the vast majority of businesses across the country, especially any business considered a small business. So it's incredibly, incredibly intense. And with that, I'm going to say, I love you all. Thank you, everybody who watches these videos. If you made it this far.
Aw, thank you, Adam. Love you too, buddy. Here's the thing. He's 100% right. I run a mid-sized business. Not small, not large. It's on the cusp of becoming a bigger business, right? There has not been, even during COVID, a more uncertain time for a business of the size that I run. And yeah, you know, I'm not Adam over here running a YouTube channel. Not to demean Adam. Adam is a amazing kid and everything he has done. Amazing person. I gotta stop calling these guys kids. They're not kids. Amazing human being, and everything he's done is so impressive. The dude is super impressive. Like, I couldn't have done this at his age at all. I was managing at his age, though, so there was that. But I can tell you this. My job does, you know, buy things from outside of the country and from inside the country, and packaging comes from outside of the country, and, you know, people as a whole right now feel really unstable and think like things are chaotic. It's really hard for people to even hold down a job right now because shit's so bad. And so Donald Trump, once again, does not care about small businesses. He does not care about small farms. He thinks big farms do it better. He doesn't care about small businesses. He thinks corporations do it better. He doesn't get donations from small businesses. He gets donations from corporations. Or if he does get donations from small businesses, he doesn't fucking realize that. You're a fucking ant to him. You're nobody. You're shit on his shoe. He doesn't care about you. He cares about the big dollars that are being stuffed in his pocket by Bezos and Zuckerberg and Andreessen and Thiel. Those are the people that he cares about. And this has been already really difficult for people to run a business during this time. And even big businesses are bankrupting, right? There's multiple big businesses that have gone bankrupt already this year. You cannot look at what Donald Trump is doing with the tariffs and everything that's going on right now and expect, if you know anything about running a business, that anybody is doing this and being like, this is easy or this is going well. It's not going well, and it's going to be a bloodbath for small businesses. And when you look at jobs numbers like this, the reason that you see a loss of 33,000 jobs is because people are already pulling back and going, holy shit, I might lose my company. I might lose my business. So the hard decision I have to make is to fire people. That's really fucking sad. It's really sad. All right, we got enough time for like one more video for sure. Let's see. What's happening, Cool Life? Thanks for being over there on Twitch. Thank you so much. Get that. I'm not denying that. My question is, does any party or politician care? I don't talk about parties. I don't care about parties. Parties are bullshit. People represent values, not parties. I say I lean left because of the fact that I do. I have progressive values. Are there politicians that care? Yes, there are politicians that care, and one of the biggest lies we told ourselves is that all politicians are corrupt. It's a very easy way for corrupt politicians to stay in power. I think that you do have people out there like Jamie Raskin. I think you have people like Jasmine Crockett. I think you have people like Katie Porter. I think you have tons of people that do care. And the reason that I started doing my podcast called Progressive Matters was because I wanted to sit down with politicians and talk to them. And I actually learned a lot about politicians by sitting there talking to them. I learned that one of the greatest problems with one of the bars to entry for people to get into politics that do care is that low-level politicians only get paid like $13,000 a year. So a lot of low-level politicians end up being retired old white guys because they already have a bunch of money. They don't really care. This is something that they can do in their spare time. Whereas people like Lindsey Prather, who's a Democrat in North Carolina, who's an ex-teacher, or I should say current teacher at that time that I was talking to her, has to keep her job as a teacher because she can't afford to just be a politician. And so there is a bar of entry that keeps good people out of politics, and that bar of entry is money. She actually changed my mind on how much politicians should be paid. There's a lot that I think that goes into the conversation of whether or not there's politicians that care, because I think what we see, unfortunately, are the people that are the least likely to be good people for us, because they are the people that have the money that gets them out in front of the cameras and in front of people's faces, and that has caused nihilism and apathy amongst the voter base because we believe that there are no good politicians. But that is wrong. I do believe there are good politicians. I even think when you talk about people like Rand Paul, as much as I disagree with libertarians on a large amount of of things, I think a lot of their politics are goofy as fuck and not realistic. Just like they think the same about mine. I still think that I don't know that he's a bad politician. I think that as far as constituents go, he seems to stay 10 toes down on the things that he believes and tends to, do what he says he's going to do. And I think that that's the most important part about being a representative of the people, is representing the people. So I personally do lean right on a lot of stuff, but that's more social issues. On economic issues, I do lean right somewhat, but also a lot left. Yeah, I mean, I think most people would say that I'm a pretty hard left-leaning person because I believe in UBI. I believe in UBI because of AI, but I used to not believe in UBI, right? I believe in DEI, but the reason that I believe in DEI would be a little different than most people do, because I understand the impact that diversity of thought has on economics. I understand what diversity has on when you bring poor people out of poverty, the importance of what that does for society and economics and the healthcare system and the criminal justice system. I think that most people that are really, really, really progressive, like Mike from the Humanist Report or Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk, I think that probably the door that would be close to me on their side would be that even though I feel a lot of empathy for people and I think that innately we should want to take care of each other, that not every argument I make will be strictly from the side of being empathetic to human beings, that sometimes I will make arguments that are that economic increases in health for people tend to lead to people also getting better outcomes as human beings. So I'm a secular humanist. I believe in secular humanism. And I would say I have probably a firm foundation of progressive values. But at times, I would say people that are like as far left as possible, as like progressive as can be, would probably disagree with me on certain things. But I don't hate them for that. Dan says Renfall is a fraud and a tumor. You believe in UBI to a point because of both AI and severe income inequality. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at too. I think that UBI, if we had a really balanced society of people that could understand why certain people should get UBI, I would say that it would be something that only certain people should get. But because I understand Americans, and I know that if, like right now, for instance, we have the example of robo-taxis and Waymos taking jobs from taxi drivers. If you told me you're going to give UBI to people like taxi drivers because they're losing hours, because they're losing profits, I wouldn't have any problem with that. But I think a large part of our society would, because they would immediately start saying, well, wait a minute, why does that person get something that I don't, right? And I think that's across the board. I think that's on the left and the right. People would say that. Or you'd have like the dipshits that go, oh, why don't I just become a taxi driver then? That's how I'm going to make my money. You know, like that's an issue in our society, is seeing other people get something and being very upset. Like, for instance, if you want like probably the best example of something that's very progressive that I agree with but would have a different tact, it's reparations. I believe that reparations should be given, but I don't believe that it should just be for the African American community, even though they very much deserve a hand up due to our history. I believe that the most beneficial thing to African Americans in our society is helping to get them to a place where a society does not, judge them in a discriminating manner, which is, as a person who's been in management for 20 years, I can tell you I have seen discrimination in tons of different jobs. But I think that the money should go to poor areas. Now, I do think that would disproportionately go to African Americans and other minorities, because obviously minorities make up the larger proportion of our poverty stricken. So I think that in one way it would accomplish the goal of African Americans getting a type of reparation. In another way, people that potentially are African American but are doing well get the added benefit of society being better because there's less impoverished people, which means less of a load on the healthcare system, on the criminal justice system. More people working means more productivity, means more GDP, which means more money for people, which means more people sharing the tax load. And it also leads to seeing that not just minorities are pulled out of poverty, but also white people, and I guess that'd be also just white people. So that would be a good example of where I think that if I was having a conversation with a heavily progressive person, they just deserve reparations because slavery. And I'm like, yeah, I feel that. I understand that argument, but I think that there's a better argument to make. I've even said this to conservatives before when they've came in and been like, Biden's economy sucks. I'm like, that's the bad argument. You're making a bad argument because his economy didn't suck. It sucked for certain people. You should be making the argument that CPI was out of control, that PCE was bad. You should be making the argument that the economy might have been good for people in the upper middle class and above, but not for lower middle class people, as it has been for a long time. Idea of everyone should work. I'm sorry, but you can tell me that someone that's blind or deaf should have to work. Yeah, no, I don't believe that at all. Yeah, that's another way to talk about it, Talia. I think that it's just... I think that we should have conversations on these topics, and that's where... Like when we get too far left, Steven Pinker, I brought up Steven Pinker earlier. Steven Pinker was one of these people who is genuinely probably a very hard left-leaning person. But during a certain time, I think it was between like 2014 and 2016, there was a pretty active campaign to make him out to be a white nationalist and a supporter of eugenics because he said Asian people are good at math. And he was literally just quoting a study. I disagree with those types of that type of the left's culture, and I think the left has actually gotten a lot better about that. And I do think that there's a fringe also of the left that had that type of reaction to that type of stuff. Steven Pinker is one of the most effeminate men, and people were giving him a hard time because he said there are biological differences between the size of different portions of the brain in men and women, which is scientifically actually provable. Like I said, there's certain things like that I just think that we should be able to have conversations over and not have people freak the fuck out. And I think that at a certain time in our culture, we got a little too entitled on the left and we started kind of, attacking people over those things. I don't believe in the same cancel culture that conservatives talk about. I believe that boycotts have existed forever. But I also believe that when you have somebody like Steven Pinker, who's an incredibly intelligent person doing some incredibly important work, the last thing we should be doing is, making him out to be a white nationalist eugenicist supporter, when really the things that you're doing are actually really important to determining who we're going to help in our society based off of, things like, a rising tide lifts all boats. Far left your economy, yeah, and it's like, I think a lot of what is missing in our society is balance. Now, mind you, I am not a both sides are bad person. I do believe the left has a dearth of better policies than the right. And that is mostly because of our current atmosphere. Like, if you wanted to talk to me 10 years or 12 years ago about, conservative policy versus democratic policy, and we wanted to talk about like fiscal conservatism and stuff like that, we could have discussions. But this current atmosphere that we're in right now with Trump as the president and what he's done to the Republican Party, there is no part of me that believes that the left is as bad as the right. That's not even close. I think that what the right is doing right now is authoritarianism. I think that Donald Trump 100% wants unilateral executive power, and he's proving it by completely not doing anything that the judicial system wants him to do, right? Like, I mean, he's overstepping boundaries that just, it's not acceptable. So as far as Trump and MAGA goes, like, I don't think that I have anything in common with a single one of those people. I just want to make that clear. There's a difference between being in a cult and being conservative. There is a difference. All right, here, let's go down here. So I watch one last video before I go. Dude, we should watch this video. I really want to watch this one because it's the educational one, and I do want to watch this one because I want to hear Mamdani explain to these dipshit what democratic socialism is. I would say the closest thing you could get me to is a democratic socialist, because I do think that Bernie represents probably a large proportion of things that I believe. Not that everything he believes I believe. I don't think there's a person out there that is 100% one for one with me on everything. But I would say probably if you were to lump me into a group with other people, it'd probably be democratic socialism, because I do believe that capitalism is a great economic driver. It's great for competition. It's great for adversity, but it can be pushed too far, and it's not healthy adversity. And that's why socialistic policies, like a welfare system, like an unemployment system, like firefighters and a volunteer army, are all very important and should be included, but they should be included by working through the democratic process. So, I don't know, maybe we should watch this, actually. No, I want to watch the funny video. I've been watching serious stuff all day long. So let's watch this. Dude, let's watch this. What is up with Kyle's shirt, dude? What is up with Bernie, or what is up with Kyle's shirt? It's like he's trying to blend into the background. Also, what is the background? Is he in Miami right now? Is my dude in Miami right now? Oh my God.
On TikTok, here you have a guy who went into a...
Are we in a hallway?
All right, guys, this is fun. So this video went viral on TikTok.
What are these acoustics?
Here you have a guy who went into a Make America Great Again.
Oh, wait. I should do that. Let's see if Titus has one. Sorry, Kyle. Sorry, Kyle. Let's see if Titus has a new video, because I will laugh my ass off at some Titus shit right now. Gavin Newsom in the end of California. That was from 2 weeks ago. That's a pretty funny name, though. No. Yeah, oh, dude, that's just a podcast clip. Let's see if we can find an actual video. I want an Armageddon update. No. I want an Armageddon update. Come on, Woke Mike. You're supposed to make this happen for me. I want an Armageddon update. Has he not done one for a minute? I guess I could just put in Titus Armageddon update. And they spell it all weird. That's not how you're supposed to spell Armageddon. That's a podcast clip. These are all podcast clips. Here we go. 6 days ago. Trump peace through war. Here we go. All right. We're going to do this one. All right. So this is Titus. Got to make sure we shout out our dudes before we play their videos. This is Christopher Titus. Trump peace through war. This is why I've been saying this is literal fucking double speak. Now, war is peace. Strength is cowardice. It's 100%. We are doing double speak. We have entered the portion of 1984 where war is peace. Strong men are actually cowards. I can't. But here we go.
I'm Christopher Titus in the Sierra Leone. What a month!
We're going to have troops everywhere.
What a year!
President Trump has ordered 2,000 National Guards.
Hold on. That guy's not a human being. You can't convince me that dude's not a robot.
Into the city.
America is bracing for retaliation.
Oh, here comes the peace. What's that game? Fuck. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Helldivers? And the whole idea is that they're bringing democracy to other planets, and it's 100% this satirical game. God, we should watch some videos where people play the game and talk about bringing democracy to the aliens. This is screams. This gives Helldivers, guys. This gives Helldivers.
By Iran. What a day!
There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is.
What the fuck? Seriously.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Every morning, grabbing your phone is like cutting the red wire on a bomb.
Oh, dude, that's real. It's like opening a fucking virus. You open your browser and you're just like, okay, what is it gonna be? What is it gonna be? Are we at war with Iran? Is there a new pandemic? Do we cut funding to orphanages? Every day you turn on the internet, it's like it is a surprise box of shit that you don't want.
Drop the phone! Drop the phone! And speaking of bombing, our president bombed Iran. The guy that said he would never start any wars.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
The guy.
The way he says it, too. I'm going to stop wars. And now he's trying to just do the same deal Obama did. God damn it, man.
I love the poorly educated.
Obama. Guy who said he would end the war in Ukraine in one day.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
It's the longest 24 hours of my life. Oh, if that's not a metaphor, I don't know what is. Jesus. I just saw that. I don't know if you guys watch the Enforcers channel. Do you guys watch the Enforcers channel? You guys should watch the Enforcers channel. That's good shit. They talk about all the bombings and shit that are happening every day. I like that they're like, Trump just got Gaza and Israel to sign another ceasefire. They don't say another either. They say a ceasefire. Like it's the first time. Like Trump has done something. He's like, he got peace in the Middle East, guys. It's like, this is the 17th ceasefire since fucking, I don't know, May? Bro, you can't keep announcing it if you just keep breaking it. It's not a ceasefire if fucking they bomb each other 22 hours later. It's not a ceasefire. You have to cease fire for it to be a ceasefire. It's fucking insane.
And it will take me no longer than one day.
150 days ago.
A couple explosions here.
And you dummies
couple
bought
there.
Are you a fan of the First Amendment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The right to bear arms. Look, this is...
How do they mess this up? This is their shtick. It's like the guy that he asked the guy, is the Good Liars, and he's like, so you support the Second Amendment? And he's like, yeah, look, you should be able to vote however you want. And he's like, wait, what? What do you think the Second Amendment is? He's like, it's freedom of speech. And he's like, I'm like, oh my God, if there is one question that a MAGA supporter should be able to get 100 times out of 100 times, it is, what is the First Amendment and what is the Second Amendment? That is this is not a long test, right? This is not 100 questions. This isn't the SATs. If you are a MAGA supporter, you have to answer 3 questions. What is the First Amendment? What is the Second Amendment? And who is the coolest human being on earth? And you know it's me. You know it's me.
It's not the First Amendment.
No, the Fourth Amendment.
Well, that guy, the chump of chill, the coward of calm, the pumpkin of peace, decided to bomb another country.
Trump's next walls to keep us in.
Like Jesus. So here we are. And how did we get here?
Fuck me. New Republican
Because
Jesus.
of Obama's Iran deal, which was signed and agreed upon. We had Iran not only stopping their nuke program, they were letting us inspect their nuclear sites and inviting us to get together and play frisbee golf at the Ramadan picnic.
I don't think that was true. I think he made that up. Fake news. Fake news.
Obama. We were headed towards a better, more peaceful world. With B-Rock and Grandpa Joe, then the burnt umber human man boob got reelected. But did he get reelected? And now we have a war in Ukraine still. We bombed Iran. Who's at war with Israel? And nuclear rivals India and Pakistan are still chest bumping like 8th graders.
Yeah, and I just saw Israel got attacked. I'm not sure by who, but I'm sure it was some Iranian terror cell, right? And can we talk about the fact that this is the same narrative that's been going on for 30 plus years? It's 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb, right? 2 weeks away. I think there should be a competition that should be held, okay? I think Donald Trump should race Iran, okay? On Donald Trump's side, he has to get an infrastructure act completed, okay? He needs a infrastructure act completed, 2 weeks from that, or they get their nuclear weapon. And let's see who gets there first. Because I'm willing to bet that neither Iran gets a nuclear weapon or Donald Trump gets a fucking infrastructure act done, okay? The 2 weeks narrative can only last so many generations, right? Like, can we stop? Like, it's obvious at this point, to at least to me, maybe others will disagree with me. Maybe all of you will disagree with me. That it's pretty fucking obvious at this point that the Iranian government likes being a dictatorship, likes its place in the greater scheme of things of being the country that gets to keep their women in full head-to-toe robes, their populace suppressed, and no one says shit about it as long as they continue to keep up the rhetoric that they're 2 weeks from a nuclear weapon. So that way the United States of America can use that rhetoric to make us hate brown people and anybody that doesn't live in the United States of America. People like Israel can use that rhetoric to say we need to continue to bomb these countries around us because if we don't, they're going to have a nuclear weapon soon. And all Iran has to do is just fucking not actually complete the goddamn weapon. That's what I feel like is going on here.
So the no war.
You're gambling with
exactly.
World War
That's
III.
what I'm saying, Cool Life.
Can't end the wars he said
We're
he
on the
could.
same page.
It will take me no
What up,
longer than
DJ?
one day.
And has started a new one. It's perfect. But at least he destroyed the Iran nuke program. Nope. According to intelligence reports,
totally obliterated it. He said totally obliterated, and then he said virtually obliterated. I don't know if he knows what those words mean.
The Iranian nuclear program was set back only a few months, which Kim Jong-un took as an insult. He said
it was devastating. They obliterated.
And then he
he got the clue. Good job. Good job. Solid. Did not pre-watch. You guys watch me look up this video on stream, guys. You watch me watch up this video. Look up this video. Iran has been offered to purchase nukes from Russia and China. Well, that's my whole point. It's like, if that was the fucking, the narrative, if the narrative was, we have to be afraid of these extremist countries that are always threatening to use nuclear weapons on us and our allies, right? Us and our allies, because that's what we talk about is Israel. The reason we're entering the war, the reason that we're blowing up these nuclear facilities is because they're threatening our ally, Israel. Then why the fuck is North Korea, why does it exist still? Because North Korea has nuclear weapons. And South Korea, they are our ally. In fact, if you want to be honest about it, there are a lot of similarities between South Korea and Israel when it comes to their military capabilities. South Korea has a very technologically advanced military. Israel has a very technologically advanced military. They're both on, practically the border of countries that we consider extremist. Except for, in this scenario, one country legit has nuclear bombs and has legit told people every once in a while, when Kim Jong-un has had too many, shots of tequila, that they will fucking use them. And then the other country is one that keeps saying, hey, we got it 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Trump, you know what I'm saying. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, brother. Just like you told me to say. If it was true that we are going to destroy a country because they have nuclear weapons, or potentially we're going to have nuclear weapons because they are extremist countries that pose a threat to our allies, we would have wiped North Korea off the fucking map by now. God damn it.
I love the poorly educated.
I love Tesla.
Compared the attack to Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima, if you look...
Actually, something that Cool Life just said. Exactly. We won't invade North Korea because that would start World War III. Going after Iran was a gamble in itself. That is actually the point I'm trying to make. I know. I just go on rants and talk a bunch of shit. I recognize sometimes I don't actually say what I'm trying to say. I just talk a lot of shit. Exactly. That's my point. Is that when he bombed those facilities, I don't believe there was ever, in his thought process, did he ever believe that he was going to wipe out their nuclear capabilities. Him doing that was theatrics. Just like Iran shooting the missiles at Qatar, the base in Qatar, were theatrics. And it's just a big game, a big play, where Donald Trump gets to show everybody how big his wee-wee is by bombing facilities that Iran shrugs off because he didn't do any real damage. And then Iran responds by not doing any real damage to American bases because the Iranian government wants to continue to be dictators and keep their citizenry oppressed under their thumb. Donald Trump actually did something that could have got us involved in World War III, because I actually think the Iranian government were like, what the fuck? And it still could escalate to that point if people like countries like Israel think that Donald Trump is stupid enough to continue to fall for that type of shit and want to prove how tiny his wee-wee is. That will get us into World War III. In fact, Donald Trump watching this video and being like, you don't think I will? I'll bomb Little Rocket Man. I'll do it. Like, that could get us involved in World War III. And that is 100% why we don't need narcissistic, authoritarian figures in charge of this country. It was bad enough having George Bush Jr. fucking making up WMDs. It's bad enough having, corporate interests being put at the forefront like Obama or Clinton did, or any other conservative president before them, Reagan, fucking screwing over the middle class. But when you add into those scenarios, having a fucking narcissistic, authoritarian persona, like legit, we might actually see World War III in my lifetime, and I prefer not to. I prefer my kids don't either.
Look at Nagasaki.
How does he find a new way to say the worst thing? And Nagasaki.
It was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima, if you look at Nagasaki.
How does he find a new way to say the worst thing every day?
Very, very large brain.
When told that the nuclear program wasn't that damaged, he said, the press is trying to make me look...
My favorite was when he thanked God. When he was like, there was a lot of people were involved. They're all great. So many good people. And I want to thank God. Like, he forgot God's name. Like, he was like, just for a moment, he was like, what was I going to... God. Uh-oh. Dementia.
Bad. He also said our intelligence is stupid. So here's what the science says. The bunker buster bombs used in the attack are supposed to go 200 feet down before they explode. However, that depends on what kind of soil. It depends on what kind of rock they're dropped on. It depends on the cracks in the rock that may divert the bomb somewhere else.
Exactly.
It depends.
Got math.
So is the guy who wears Depends lying? Definitely. And here's how you know it didn't work. The Iranians have announced that there was so much damage to our nuclear program. We don't know if we could ever build a nuke now.
That's kind of Russian. That's kind of a Russian accent.
The good news is the Middle East is a place where no one ever holds a grudge. They just let things roll off their backs and don't plot revenge since 1,200 years before Christ. It'll be fine. So 150 days in with the anti-war, anti-military intervention president.
Knock the crap out of him, would you?
Trump just got America knee-deep into Israel's and Iran's war. And for that, he wants a prize for peace.
They should give me the Nobel Prize. I should have got...
I love the 12-day war thing. Like, this is what you get when you make a reality TV guy your president. He's more focused on the optics than anything else. It's like, I thought of a cool name for it. We're going to call it the 12-day war. And then it went for one more day. I was like, we just live in seriously the fucking dumbest timeline that has ever existed. I know a lot. We say a lot, right? Like, we say things like, back in my day, movies were so much better. You know, back in my day, young people worked harder. Back in my day, you know, like, there's always, like, these rose-colored glasses, like, ways that we look at things. But I genuinely believe that there has never been a dumber time that has existed. Not even the Dark Ages. Like, even during the Dark Ages, I am pretty sure, like, the lack of information probably didn't allow for people to be this dumb, right? Ignorance, 100%. Ignorant people existed during the Dark Ages. It's a side effect of being in the Dark Ages, right? But I actually think that the complete, like, fucking just mountain of information that people are incapable of actually, like, ingesting in a way that's, like, purposeful or positive has led to human beings being peak stupid. And you guys know I've said this before. I believe that in the 1800s, during the Enlightenment, we entered the age of information. We entered the age of information. That's when we looked at each other and we said, hey, yo, I think that these hurricanes, maybe it's not from two dudes having sex. Maybe these hurricanes come from, like, hot and cold and how they mix in the ocean and other things. Like, that seems like that's a better explanation than the fact that Jim really likes Brian and, you know, they made out the other day and God's punishing us. That's when it started. And we made our way into what I believe is the peak of the age of information. And that is now, where we can literally just, like, pull out a fucking computer out of our pocket and we don't even have to type it anymore. We're just like, what is spaghetti? And it just, like, tells us, right? Like, not just what spaghetti is, but how to make it and the history of spaghetti and, like, who the best person that ever made spaghetti was. And then it's like, yo, you want to watch a video of this dude making spaghetti? And you can just watch it. But I think the next age is the age of understanding, right? And I think that it's going to be a very fucking lonely age because there's so many people out there that genuinely do not want to fucking understand because it is so much more fun to just be a moron. It is idiocracy. It is. I'm not going to deny that executions through monster trucks sounds pretty entertaining. I'm not going to deny. Like, I love the UFC. I've watched combat sports my whole life. I'm not going to deny that watching two dudes pummel each other that are really good at it is fucking entertaining. But I'm also not going to deny that I don't want to live in a fucking time where people only care about that shit. Where they don't want to talk about important things. They don't want to have long conversations about what a black hole is and how the fuck it could even exist. The age of understanding is going to be fucking lonely. And that's pretty goddamn sad.
I love Tesla. Did 4 or 5 times. They won't give me a Nobel Peace Prize because they only give it to liberals.
I feel insane. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. I don't
insane.
I can't even write this shit. Like, how? I just gotta report what happened, and it's literally in jump 4. Holy shit. Like, so, it's literally, he speaks like George Orwell. Like George Orwell.
Yeah, 1984. I liked it. Did not pre-watch, guys. He said at the end, this is Orwell. It's Orwell. It's Orwellian. It's 1984. It is War is Peace. It's fucking crazy. If you asked me that this would happen, I would tell you no. Like I said, I feel like I sane-washed Trump for, a couple years moving up to election because of his first term, where I was like, look, don't worry. There's going to be people in place that are going to put guardrails on this dude that aren't going to allow him to do the, dumbest shit, right? Like, I was like, you don't have to worry, it's going to be bad, but it's going to be 4 years. I feel like I was part of the problem because I sane-washed, and I didn't recognize, and I think I did towards the end. I think I did start to be like, yeah, actually, shit's going to probably get bad, because I started to see the people that he wanted to involve in his campaign, and I was like, fuck, uh-oh. But if you asked me, do you really think that within the first 6 months of Trump's presidency that we would be looking at, Orwellian rhetoric? If you asked me that question, I'd say no. I think, nah, it's not gonna, that's 6 months? 6 months you think that we're going to be, fucking doing doublespeak? And yet, here we are. This is literal. You can't say this isn't doublespeak. Peace is war. The guy that you voted for because he is anti-war is doing what you wanted him to vote for by involving himself in war. That's Orwellian doublespeak. It's fucking insane. And I'll even say this. I'll say this 100%. I've said it over and over again since Donald Trump was elected. Every morning I wake up hoping that I'm wrong. Every day I wake up going you know what? Maybe the economy is not going to crash. Maybe people aren't going to lose their jobs. Maybe, I'm fucking wrong. And at the end of the day, the tariff idea is way smarter than I am. And, I have blind spots because of my own education. Every day. But none of that shit's happening. All of the things that people said were going to happen, the corruption, the meme coin, the Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency corruption, all of that shit is happening. The people losing their jobs that shouldn't be losing their jobs, it's happening. The potential of the economy entering a recession, it's happening. The fact that we're literally grabbing people off the streets, not giving them due process, detaining them and deporting, and now we're talking about ending birthright citizenship, at least on the level of individualistic birthright citizenship over DUIs, which will force individuals, each individual person now, instead of an injunction, will now have to go to the court of their state and file a lawsuit against the U.S. government saying that their citizenship has been infringed upon, which caused these people to have to go to court against the United States government. It's happening. It's fucking crazy. And once again, I'm going to blame every one of these fucking Trump voters for taking away from us the potential of just having Donald Trump be a YouTube content creator that narrates important events and us being able to just have a good laugh. You guys fucked this up for all of us, and I'll never forgive you for that. All right, guys, that's about the end of the show. I will be on again tomorrow, just so you guys know, on this space, not this channel, thisspace.tv. Thisspace.tv. That's the channel I'll be on tomorrow, Thursday at 5 p.m. So if you haven't gone and subscribed to thisspace.tv, please do. And you guys check me out tomorrow. We'll have some good laughs. It's a shorter show, so I try to not rant as long as I do when I'm on this show. This is my time. Yeah, we're going to have a show tomorrow. So check it out. And yeah, like I said before, don't become apathetic. Don't become exhausted. Don't become nihilistic. Stay engaged. Stand up for the people around you. It's still important, man. still really important. So appreciate the fuck out of all of you guys. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. As always, Cool Life, thanks for being over there on Twitch and having a good conversation. I appreciate that as well. So thank you guys. And don't forget, guys.
Yeah, you effing with some wet-ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass P-word. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass P-word. P-word. P-word is female genitalia.
Who explained sexual harassment to you and me? Sexual harassment, panda.
Bye, guys.